All right, welcome to the Sae Bae cast, number 227 with Napes. Napes, how are we doing today?
I'm doing good, man. Thanks for having me.
My pleasure. We were just talking right before this, and one of the nostalgic things I've brought up on the cast a couple times was me like smoking Smarties back in the day. And you said you're from Canada, so Smarties are not the powdery things that you can just like shake up in your fingers, and just turn it into dust and then inhale it. But they're more like chocolate over there, like a candy chilled chocolate.
They're like really shitty M&M.
Yeah.
And that might hurt some other Canadians' feelings because like that's a hot take as a Canadian. People love Smarties. Like Halloween, you get those things in your Halloween bag, and I'm just like dumping those things out.
Dude,
Fuck Smarties.
I don't know if you have like siblings, but Halloween time was peak manipulation on my end. Like I had two younger siblings, so like we would bring pillowcases out door to door trick or treating, and I mean I was carrying around, I kid you not, like 20 pounds of candy by the end of the night. I would go out for like 5 hours some nights and go to all the rich neighborhoods, so they're giving like the king size candy bars and stuff, and I'd come back and I think I gaslit, or I guess you technically say gaslighted. I gaslighted my little brother into liking Tootsie Rolls. If you have Tootsie Rolls there, just those little fucking brown logs of just, I don't even know what, cornstarch and sugar.
Yeah, corn syrup, sugar, and just like...
I do not know what it is, but we basically convinced him that he likes those. It was almost like his hipster version of like candy. Like, nobody else likes it, but he likes them. So I mean,
it'll be really cool.
We would do these trades where I'd be like, okay, you give me 3 of your Kit Kats, king size Kit Kats, and I'll give you 30 Tootsie Rolls, just something like absurd, and he'd take it. So I was just basically cashing out like all the good stuff, giving him all the junk. I do it with my little sister as well because she wanted my approval. This is like peak, like just kid manipulation. I would never do this anymore, of course, but back in the day, Halloween was like all about trade deals and stuff.
Oh, okay, yeah, you're just like running the candy stock market in your basement. Honestly, I have a younger sister, and it wouldn't even be like manipulation. I would just be like, listen up. I know where you hide this. I will eat it. You can tell mom, but it's going to be gone. So just give me all your O. Henrys right now, and we're going to call it even. And that's just how it went. O. Henrys were mine.
Yeah. So I've heard of O. Henrys, but those, let me ask.
You guys don't have those?
Fuck off. We do. I think we do, but let me just see what they are.
It's like like a Mr. Big. No.
Oh.
It's like a Mr. Do you guys have Mr. Big?
Wait,
we're gonna be doing this all.
Is this a chocolate bar?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I'm looking at it now. Yeah, we don't have.
It's like a peanut fucking punch in the face with a bunch of chocolate and like nougat. It's kind of like a Mr. Big if you guys have those.
Okay.
Similar.
So it looks like there's a giant O. Henry too, and that almost looks like a Butterfinger type thing. I'm looking at it.
Yeah.
So a giant O. Henry is different than a normal O. Henry.
No, they're the same.
Okay, maybe just this image just looks a little bit different. Okay, but it's pretty much, it looks like a Snickers bar.
Yeah.
With peanuts coated like around it kind of in a way.
I just looked up O. Henry on Google and this fucking dude came up, not the chocolate bar. It's like when you accidentally type in something and don't put OSRS in it and you're just like, oh yeah, no, that's like a real thing. I forgot about that.
Yeah. Oh my God. Like type in anglerfish, you just assume it's OSRS, but it's like no.
Literally.
You start seeing some cursed like aliens from underwater.
Hammer.
Yeah, that's great. No, those actually look really delicious.
Oh, they're fire.
Yeah.
They're nuts.
So, before we start getting into all the candy talk, I doubt we're going to carry much more on that. But let's get a brief introduction of who you are. We've been in DMs for a little bit, trying to get this set up. Yep. And obviously, you're a passionate RuneScape player. You've listened to the casts a lot and stuff. So I'll just let you take the lead right now, introducing yourself and your history with the game.
Cool. Well, first of all, appreciate you like having me on amongst all these like, giants of the game, big content creators, fucking football players. Like, come on now. So a round of applause to you for killing it lately. I'm just a regular dude. I run a small social clan called AFK in old school RuneScape. I've been playing since I've been like a kid, since I was, using Gmauls to kill fire giants, no spec, nothing. Right now I play a UIM You guys can all cringe at that now. I dabble in like a bit of PKing. I have not one but two defense pure. We'll get into that later. Got a Zerker slash like Perilous Moons account that I play on too. I have a main that doesn't really get touched. Sometimes I'll bond him up just to like do some stuff like with the clan when we do events and whatnot. And then I got like just some random trophy account that I made. It's just like a defense pure that has like 80 defense and nothing else that I just kick monks all day. He's just rolling around in full justy. It's pretty sick.
Nice.
How
long did that take? You said you're 80 something. Are you just 80 defense? I know that shit takes like years to get to 99.
Honestly, I'll pull him up. I think it took like 2 years of like, I'm not like on it all the time and I don't go on it anymore. He's kind of just bonded up to be my UIM's drop mule. But it was like, I think you get like 1.5k defense experience an hour. And like, I never had him on members. So I didn't use like any like strength boosting, anything, like no potions, no gear. And you're just kicking monks in like full rune. So you're getting like 1.5k an hour. So you could just imagine how long it takes. But it's like, you just leave it on. It's in the background. You don't really have to do anything. And then it just becomes a fun account. And kind of like my goal with that account is I just want the BA pet. Because I fucking love that pet. It's just so monstrously big. And I just want to roll around with that on this defense only account. But that's kind of me with RuneScape. In terms of my UIM that I'm maining right now, I'm 2109 total. I'm just camped out at Calcified Rocks right now. Just got my Infernal Cape.
Ooh.
So that's why I'm kicking back and just doing a little bit of skilling because I almost became single after that grind. It was brutal. I was there for like a month maybe. Just, I'd come home from work, yes, sweetie, 5 p.m., time for your daily infernal grind, get to wave 59 and die and then just wither away. But I think it took like 35, 40 attempts from like the beginning of February to almost the end of it. So super happy about that. And other than that, like outside of RuneScape, I kind of like what I want to talk about today, or like some of the stuff, if we want to get into it, is just like I play this account that's like pretty well progressed. Like I'm not end game, I'm not like a grandmaster or anything, but like I run a business, I work like a full-time job. I have a pretty like, active social life where like every weekend I'm out doing things. And I constantly am getting this like, I speak in chat and someone's just like, virgin, touch grass, with the UIM status. And I'm just like, man, it's really not like that. I do play a lot, but it's like, I do find the time and ways to play that like make me progress in this way. And it's something that you've touched on before, kind of like, I think you do this now with your new Iron Man where you were like, I'm not going to AFK crabs. I'm not going to like just kind of skip over content just by like trying to rush to a point. You're going to like actually experience it. I find that there's all these things that people do and they're just like, I can't believe like you must be playing so much, this and that. I'm like, no, man. When I hop on, like I'm playing. I like don't necessarily like play all the time, but when I get on, I'm like ripping. Like I'm doing the best EXP method I can do. If I'm doing a boss, I'm not just gonna be like, yeah, like I'm gonna take I'm gonna red X serve, like fuck it, I'm gonna like get everything going as fast as I can because I don't have that much time, 2 hours a night max. I got these prims to go dry on, so I gotta get this thing going.
I mean, this is something that, and again, like I get accused of it too. It's funny how like you kind of get boxed up as like a RuneScape player in different ways. The way it's been for me is, as a content creator and live streaming, you have this expectation to like play the game in a certain way. And I definitely like fed into that. Like I actually kind of enjoyed the kind of, I don't know, I kind of liked the meta for years. I liked this is kind of the beaten path and you should do this. But man, once you're just not feeling it, you just are not feeling it anymore. And so with this account, Squad Cam, as I've said, obviously in a lot of more recent episodes, the whole point of playing this account is just to enjoy every aspect of it and to play it in a way I want to play it. Like, and people are like, well, why don't you go for Moon's gear? Why don't you like get to raids as fast as possible? They're not saying it in those words, but they're basically expecting something of me because they've seen other people do it. You know, the route is get to CG as fast as possible and then just camp raids endlessly until the end of time.
Yeah.
That's pretty much it.
Yeah.
And then like max on your own time, you know, off stream, never skill on stream, of course, you know, but
how could you?
The expectation. So because I'm doing everything so differently, it really is just like, whoa, like people are not expecting it, but it's so much more fun. And I have a really like, I'm in a privileged position where I already have a maxed Iron Man that's pimped out. So sometimes, you know, I have to think to I'm a bit jaded on this because I almost want other people to appreciate how I'm playing in a way where I'm like, dude, just enjoy the journey. Like there's no rush into anything. But then I'm like, oh wait, no. There are actually some people that have never played like an end game account and have everything. And they imagine that when you get to that point, everything's just going to be amazing and awesome. But I already have that. I've seen how that looks, but now I'm playing it in a different way. And but I have a direct comparison between the two, whereas some people have always just been in early and mid game and they want to rush to the end game so badly because they see, at least according to them, they see like that's much more fun. But ultimately, I'm just like, dude, the game's the game. I mean, there's fun in all aspects of it and in every area, early, mid, and late game.
Yeah, you got like the grass is greener on the other side perspective, or you've like gotten to that point so you can reflect back on the other things and been like, you know what? Like you end up getting there eventually, right? So you can kind of just like smell the roses a little bit, especially on this new account. Like I kind of passed Varlamore by the time it came out. And I look at that and I'm just like, dude, that like, I'm so envious of people that can like come up doing that, like the thieving and the calcified rocks, like prayer and mining at the same time. Come on, the moon stuff. But kind of touching on like that same thing where it's like, you don't have to do the sweatiest thing. You don't have to rush to a point. I always tell people, like the most efficient route isn't going to be efficient if you just fucking hate it and you just don't want to do it or you can't stick with it. Like for one of the reasons why I kind of really like UIM is the flow of skilling sometimes is like really chill where, you know, you could do this thing where you maybe stack up planks from Temporos and do some, I don't know, normal construction like in your POH or do mahogany homes like that. But it's kind of like Guardians of the Rift where, you know how like you're playing, and then you get like the downtime where you're like mining the rock and you just get to like, you know, stretch and do nothing and chat with people and do that. Yep. When you're doing mahogany homes on a UIM, like, and you have Prif unlocked, which is typically how you do it like post 70, right? You're doing your mahogany homes, you do like 4 or 5 runs, whatever it might be, and you sweat your ass off. Like I know they changed it now, but you would like teleport to Falador Park, talk to Amy, and you would only do that. You would skip all the tea drinking and like drink your pool instead for run energy. But then you get to Prif and you just get to cut trees, dude, for like 5 minutes. And you're just like, cool, this is awesome. And then it's back to sweating. But it's like a nice breather where you can like socialize in the middle and you can just like kind of like get up and go get a glass of water if you wanted to, because it's like, end of the day, it's not efficient anyways, really. It's just like, you know, you can 3-ticket if you want, but it's like, you know, you take those downtimes and you take those L's on experience just to make it so you don't absolutely want to rip the flesh off your face, you know?
No, those methods are amazing. I absolutely love it. Guardians of the Rift, I feel like was revolutionary because, and there's like 2 branches I want to go off of this is I think the J mods, and I'm going to just shout out Mod Arcane because at RuneFest, he had said, okay, so we're coming out with Yama, this new duo boss that's going to be kind of pretty difficult. There's going to be contracts that are probably going to be as hard as Blood Torva. But he has said, and this is probably excluding the contract, but the actual just normal fight, he doesn't want it to be draining and exhausting. He wants it to eventually get to the point where it is brain off. And I think that mentality, that kind of philosophy with game design is so healthy with RuneScape because there is something so tedious about, and RuneScape is not like many other games where, you know, game design in other games, when the game is completed in 50 hours, like literally the game is fucking completed in, you know, 50 to 100 hours, you can do different things. You can make everything pretty exhausting because by the end, you're like, okay, it's done. RuneScape is endless. People have put in 40,000 hours into their accounts. It's crazy.
Oh, yeah. Oh,
and they're still not done. They're just getting started. They got one piece of third age. Time to go get the last 23. But with skilling Guardians of the Rift, I could almost imagine when they were designing Guardians of the Rift, they're in, I guess it was like around COVID time, so they're all like over their Zoom calls or whatever. But I could just imagine they had this expectation of these rocks, these like rune essence things you have to be mining. They should deplete at a certain random interval, to keep you engaged or whatnot, similar to Zaya RC.
Right.
Just some bullshit like that, because we're all used to it, Like I could totally imagine somebody saying, hey, like, this is too AFK. This is too generous. But dude, when it's implemented and you're going to be doing Guardians of the Rift for a lot of hours, probably 100 plus if you're taking it really seriously, it's so good to have a huge part of the experience be total chillness. You get a break, you can go to the bathroom, you can go make some food even. You have like 2.5 minutes. And then you just get back on the grind and just rush, and then chill again. And it doesn't feel like you're being punished for it. Like, it doesn't feel like you're actually wasting time, because this is part of the minigame where you're supposed to be mining your essence.
Yeah. There's no other way to do it. Yeah, it's like efficient or lazy. Like, everyone's on the same level where it's just like click rock, chill.
Yep. It's so
I love
good.
that.
And I think they're one of the cool things is with game design like this, it really has to go down well with the community, because ultimately the game developers can't just design exactly what they want. They have to cater it toward the culture of the community. There's so many aspects of that. And I like that the culture's shifting a lot, because we see really brilliant updates and we all are like pretty reasonable with it. Like, we understand that this was a healthy update. There's not this weird dogma that we're following, like, whoa, this is inappropriate. You can't be just clicking for 2.5 minutes and not having to engage with your computer. I just love that we as a community as a whole just understand what the good stuff is, and we want more of it. So
when it feels good, right? It's just like when Royal Titans came out, I don't think I saw a single complaint about them, because it was just like, you could go in there, and I did a couple. I didn't do that many because I already have Chambers prayers. I kind of just wanted to dick around, get some CAs. And I went with like an Iron Buddy who's not very good at PVM. Like, he doesn't really touch it too much. And we went in initially, and I watched the guide. I was like, hey, like, how does this fight work? And this one guy was kind of just like, don't worry about magic. And I'm like, all right, let's do that. So we go in, and don't worry about the ads, like the minions that come up, blah, 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 do that. And then I'm like, oh, this kind of sucks. Like, he's taking a lot of damage from these. So we ended up bringing magic in, but it's like, you could do both. Like, you can just kind of ignore the minions. You can, get a little sweatier with it and get rid of them, bring like a mage switch. And it was just like, nothing about it felt clunky, because you could have your auto cast on. You just click on them. There was a lot of movement that was like you were able to do or not. Like, when they're doing their special attack, when they're on either sides, and you're on the circle, and you can like kind of still melee them and run back, like do that like 3-tick cycle or 2-tick cycle. I'm like, this is fucking awesome. And it's something that like, they're intending that now too.
Yeah.
Like, they're not doing that, and people are just like doing like solo chambers, like revolutionary stuff. Like, I hadn't seen really anything on it, and I was like, I just started doing that because I was like, oh, I know I can just like run in between these 100%. And I'm like, there's no way that they're doing that on accident anymore. They're kind of like, they know what we like as a community, and what people that won't even notice that, they're just not going to notice it. They'll just stand on that circle and be like, okay, cool, continue, right? Click boss. But it just, they give that opportunity too, which is really cool. I really like that.
I mean, one of the updates, I think it was 2017 when Dragon Slayer 2 dropped and Vorkath dropped. I believe it was that year. So Vorkath, I mean, when there was an acid phase, many people were pretty bad at the game around that point. So they were just terrible. Walking, they're just walking the acid trail. Not the acid trail, there's acid everywhere, but they're shooting fireballs. You just got to walk it off. But then Wooks comes along and starts Wooks walking it with a blowpipe, and everyone's like, oh my God, like, this is insane. And what they decided to do was, oh my God, wait, they're killing this boss too fast. We have to do a 50% damage reduction during this phase for no fucking reason, almost to like deter people.
Is there?
Yeah. During that acid, when he shoots acid out, you only deal 50% damage to Vorkath.
I had no fucking idea. That's so whack.
It is backwards. It is literally
another reason
backwards.
not to go to Vorkath. Awesome.
Yeah. I mean, and the thing is, it's been kept in the game like that for so long, but it's so bizarre because again, like the culture was different. I think people weren't as sweaty back then, or this was just way too difficult to pull off, to risk dying to learning this Vorkath walk. There's probably other reasons alongside of it, potentially like loot's coming into the game too fast because the Giga Sweats are going to just be, getting faster kills, or I don't even know. But the appropriate response would have been to just keep it. And even another appropriate response would have actually been to enhance the damage. Like genuinely encourage the behavior to go sweaty on that mode. Because that's the best part of Vorkath. The fireball walking, the Wooks walking, or the 5-tick crossbow in the back row, that is the most fun part of Vorkath. And they literally deter you from doing it by doing a 50% damage. It's backwards. I had
no idea. That actually blows my mind. That upsets me. I'm like very anti-Vorkath right now. Like I'm dreading going just because getting anti-fires and stuff on a UIM is kind of annoying. And I'm just like I gotta get the head just so I can, put it on my range cape or put it on my quiver when I get it. But I'm just like looking at doing that boss. And I'm just like, I'm good actually.
Yeah, I'm gonna be getting my Vorkath head soon on this account. I've been things keep like popping up. Like I've been wanting.
You mean like going to Sarah?
I want to go on my Sarah
65 range.
things keep popping up. Like I realized, okay, I want to save ammo, so let's go get the Vorkath head. Let's get the assembler, and then before I'm even there, I have to do all these diaries and stuff, and then I have to get my 5 ecumenical keys that I want to stack up for Sarah. So I had to complete the Wildy hard, and now I want to go to Huey, which was already original. Like part of the original plan for this account was to get Huey hide. I just think it's just funky looking, and nobody really uses it because you may as well just go get like Eclipse armor at Moons or something. But
yeah, there's so many alternatives that it's like you could, but by the time you get there, you probably have a God D hide anyways, and it's like it's fine. It'll do the job.
And you need a pretty decently high crafting level. It's 88 for the body, so you can boost at 83, which I'm just about at 83 crafting. But I've now decided I want to go grind Huey. And the best part about Huey is it gives a bunch of really cool loot like seeds, cannonballs, but it also gives Addy bolts, which is perfect for the Sarah grind because I do need diamond bolt E's for that. So anyway, everything's kind of like interwoven in a way. So my plan now is to get to Huey, grind out, I don't know, maybe 100, 200 kills, and hopefully just get average rate on the hides. You get like 2 to 3 per drop. And all I really want is the top and the chaps. Yeah.
Got you. Well, yeah, you're at that like mid game, just like you can do absolutely everything. Like worlds open. You could do high level content. You could do God Wars, like it's gonna suck, but you can do it. You can get there. You got the stats. How was Sarah going for you? Like, what's your method? Because I watched your stream that day, and then I was like, yeah, man, cool. He's going to do Sarah low combat. This is going to be sick. Let's see Satyr just like crush this. And I like dipped because like you weren't there yet. I came back and I'm like, what's this guy fucking doing? It's just like doing like all these little, he's like getting ecumenical keys. Then I was laughing.
It was
Iron Man.
Originally, my whole plan, like I wanted to go to Sepulcher to get bolts. That was the main reason I wanted to go get Sepulcher first. I had already AFK'd so much agility through Sae Bae cast this year that I was 92, so I already had floor 5 unlocked. And as
what are you
soon
doing
as
right now?
What?
What are you doing right now?
I'm just fishing Karambwans right now, just AFKing it.
Sweet.
Because I always need food, and I never want to fish Karambwans if it's not a cast. So this is perfect AFK activity. I'm not going to do any more rooftops. This is all like, as soon as I hit 92, I will never touch rooftops again. The whole thing is going to be Sepulcher now. But I decided I now want to go get a Ring of Endurance. Like I'm going to go get a Ring of Endurance for Sarah. Because, and a lot of people are like, wait, isn't there like a no, stam method for Sarah? And yeah, there is if you have a T-bow, Masori, Dragon Arrows.
Yeah, if you can rinse them.
Yeah, if you're just praying mage, you make one rotation around the room as a solo and it's dead. Then you're hitting like 70s with a T-bow. But the rune crossbow method with low range is just a different beast entirely. So
Yeah,
I
that's
ended up
awesome.
spooning the Ring of Endurance. We made a trip to Sarah.
Okay.
I had not learned how to. The main issue with Sarah, besides like my very first attempt going in there, which was very rough because I just didn't have like the muscle memory at all because I just hadn't done this method since like 2017, and
Are you
even
just
then I
doing
just
like
did
the
it
run around
briefly.
the room,
Yeah,
run
you
around
just
the room
you,
thing?
you run around and you have to pray, range, and mage in a 5-tick cycle, and then attack Sarah. And so, and also none of my things were set up. So a lot of the time, people will go into like menu swaps and make it so Commander Zilliana is prioritized over Starlight, who's also like underneath
Right.
her, and none of
Yeah.
that shit was set up. So the whole thing was a mess. Nothing was off ticked properly. And so I ended up only getting 1 kill that trip. And then we went back after I got some ecumenical keys. Because by the way, the KC there, I tried to just get 40 KC, fucking ranging these dudes with like 200 HP or something. That took forever. So I was like, okay, we're going
So
to
cringe.
get ecumenical keys. Went 4.5 times the rate of a key. That was obnoxious, killing imps, hopping worlds. I'm rambling about this whole day because I was so engaged. Like I'm at the point on this account now where I'm just so fucking addicted. But we went back to Sarah and we got like a nice 6-kill trip. Which felt good because I actually brought like an additional like surplus of food just in case things went wrong again.
Yeah.
But then after that, I was like, hey, we need to make some upgrades before we go back. And one of that was just get a Vorkath head. So we completed Dragon Slayer 2 with just a few battle scars. And yeah, we're kind of now just working on a few different like AFK skills and trying to get to Huey now. And then as soon as I get Huey hide, we're back to Sarah. And then that is going to be a beast grind where like, who knows how long it could take. If we go 4 or 5 times the rate of a hilt or an ACB, that's just going to be wild. It'll take.
But it's gonna be a good arc. There'll be some good content for sure.
Oh yeah. So let me ask about you though. I mean, because it sounds like you're just kind of doing the skilling grind on the UIM. Is there any like PVM you're looking
Kind
forward to?
of. I kind of like. So the reason I started doing mining was just because like I straight up just needed a break from just like the sweaty inferno.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm kind of like geared up for chambers right now. I'll go do some chambers here and there with some buddies, just because you can death bank for that. Like it's a safe death, so I can leave some junky stuff in my Hespori death storage, have all my gear on me, and then like obviously stars and calcified rocks. I take like 0 inventory space, so I just mess around with that. So right now, finish Inferno. I'm kind of like at the end of Slayer where I only really need the halberd from Raxor and stuff from Hydra, which I'm 1 level off, so it won't take long. Other than that, I'm kind of like I've definitely like rushed PVM because I got to a point with skilling where it's like, I've got all the diaries I need. I got my quest cape, like that's all done. I can do everything, and now it was kind of like I got Bofa, and all I wanted to do was kill shit and get gear and just like dopamine, just like get stuff right. So now, right now, I'm just kind of like, okay, well, if I want to camp raids, if I want to do high level content and whatnot, I just want to get the skills out of the way that are gonna like prevent me or like make it harder on myself. So kind of going for like amethyst darts slash dragon darts when I end up doing TOA. So doing some mining, probably gonna do some smithing just to get the level up there a little bit because it's looking a little shite. Um, but I think once I'm done getting like this mining level and doing some chambers, I think Colosseum's next. And I said I was gonna take a break from like that end stuff, but I finished Inferno and I'm like itching, dude. I'm looking
Yep.
at Colosseum and everyone was like, dude, just like, because I was getting my shit punched in by Inferno, dude. Like, I had that like arc where I was doing really well. I went in and I don't have this on my main. Like, this was my first account that I did it. I've done a couple attempts like years ago, and I'm obviously a better player now just from playing. But it just like I had to learn it on the
Yep.
UIM, right? So I did the whole, first couple attempts, like I got to like triple that Jads after like 4 attempts, and I'm like, I'll be here for a week. And then every single attempt for like 2 weeks after that, I guess I got cocky and I just kept getting sat and sat. And everyone's like, dude, just do Coliseum first. It's so much shorter. I'm like, I'm gonna have to do this eventually. If I take the easy way out, I'm just like, I'm never gonna come here.
Yeah.
Like I just gotta fucking do it. And like people are looking at my prayers are like, dude, you don't have augury. You're using a blue moon spear. Like, what is wrong with you? I'm just like, I'm not going to Muspa, I'm not going to Vard, like I'm not doing that whole blood moon staff thing. And it's like I'm a big proprietor of just go in, just like do it. And it's like what you did with Sarah, where you're like, if you go in and it ain't working, okay, gotta make some upgrades. But you gotta go in there to know that.
Yep.
Right. So I just went in, I just stuck with it kind of thing. I ended up getting it. But yeah, bit of a skilling grind right now. It's just a means to an end to get back to PVM for me because it's kind of all I want to do. My goal is just get cool shit, man. Because if I'm being honest with you, I think a lot of my ulterior motive with playing UIM is straight up just a flex.
Yeah,
like
that's all
it's just badass, man. Like I go to stars right now, and you know how you can do like that diagonal fucking like crackhead run and like mine the star, like do the Bluetooth mining where you're like mining from like 3 tiles away.
Yeah. I've seen it. I don't actually know how to perform it, but I've seen people do it.
Okay, I'll teach you one day.
Okay, cool.
I'm pretty.
I don't really mine stars, to be fair, but one of these days I'm going to be doing it on the Sae Bae cast, so I got to flex, and you're going to have to teach me.
100%. So I'm out there, no prospectors on. I'm like full crystal, like, you know, Justy face guard, infernal cape prims. Like I'm looking sick. And I just go, imagine being a main or something. I just like get people looking at me and I don't say anything else. Yeah. Or I just go like imagine banking, just some dumb shit like that. Yeah. And I just sit back. So another reason why I'm doing stars right now is because I was like really hard into RuneScape for a bit. And I was like, hey, when I'm done Inferno, I'm not playing. I like told my girlfriend that. I told my friends that. I'm like, guys,
oh no,
I'm not playing. I'm not going to do it. And I finished and I'm just like, I can't stop looking at this fucking cape. So I'm like, okay, well, I might as well go do something. Monster Hunter Wilds came out. I started playing other games I used to play, but I'm just like always on stars now because I'm just like zoomed in on this cape. I'm so hyped about it.
It's the best feeling getting an infernal cape. It's so iconic. They nailed it with the look of it. It's so clean.
It's just like, man, so I always kind of roasted the Inferno. I was like, stupid content. Like, I feel like when I really got into PVM was honestly, okay, so this is like an interesting take because you know how there's like the 2 camps of like TOA and then like the Chambers Tob people, right, with raids. I think when I really started getting into PVM and like trying being like, okay, like I can get good at this was on my main when TOA came out. Because I had done some Tob, I had done some Chambers, but I always went with people that were like, don't worry about it, stand here, click boss, we'll take care of everything. So I never like learned it, but TOA, I was like in a position to learn it. So I learned that I got like movement down. Like TOA is very like movement based, right? Especially if you're doing solos. So when I did the Infernal, I'm like, dude, I'm just standing here clicking fucking prayers. Like this sucks. But when you go in there with really dookie gear and you're like having to stand borderline like in the firing zone of like 4 different things and you're just flicking in between things, I'm like, this is sick. Yep. And this got me like super, super into it. And now I'm like, I can't wait to get a Slayer task and like go in there on a Slayer task.
Oh, it's so much better on task. I'm definitely one of those players that didn't just absolutely fall in love with the Inferno after, but when you get that confidence of your first cape and you know you can do it because you just did it, going back just for a few more capes, you know, because that was me. I got my 1 cape and then I got 4 KC, so I did like 3 more. I died a couple times during those tasks.
Like you went right back in, or you went back on task?
Not like right back in, but within the next few months, I did like 3 more capes, and that felt like a good stop. So this is way before CAs had ever come out or anything, but knowing that the high score said like 4 KC felt good for me. Like it felt like as an Iron Man with 4 infernal capes back in 2018, like that was a good feeling. Like okay, like I'm a beast, and I don't need to. And I didn't just have the 1 KC, which by the way wouldn't even show. I don't think. I'm trying to remember if the high scores even showed it if you had 1 cape at the time. I think you had to have like a minimum of 2. And that was the way of basically like signaling to people that you didn't buy your cape.
Yeah. So, no, I'm a certified cape buyer in terms of everyone that questions it.
Exactly. So when you go back on task, it's so much easier. It's so much more fun. And it's just cool. But yeah, for me, it wasn't like, oh, I want to go get the pet now. I mean, I did. I thought the pet was so badass. Still do.
That'd be one of my favorites in the game for sure.
Yeah. I mean,
So
because
awesome.
even when CAs came out, I was just dreading having to go back in the Inferno and do these fucking menial tasks, like not drop below 50 HP. That was a headache. That was a genuine
So
headache doing that.
that one sounds cancer. Like fuck that. And like I'm definitely looking at some um like CAs right now, and I'm
Hmm.
like the one where like you can't let the meteor dig. I'm like insane. Like I don't know that's probably
Yeah.
not even as bad, but like after doing it that one time, and like you know your first cape, you're literally just like waiting for these things to dig at you. You're just like please stay, please stay, please
Yep.
stay. Yeah,
With the melee dig one, you just have to DPS them. You just kind of like during those,
yeah,
try not to, because my mistake was I was trying to do like 3 tasks in one run, and then I'd like mess up one or just fuck up somehow, and then it ruins everything. But if you just were to see it as, let me just focus on sort of a pet grind and just go for one CA at a time. So you're just focusing on the digging one. So whenever you have a
totally.
wave with a meleeer, you just DPS the fuck out of them right off the bat. And when you're on task and you have a Bofa, I mean, they die in like 3 hits if you just go
Yeah,
crazy on them.
true, true.
Yeah.
Yeah, that extra accuracy, man.
Being on task, and those things are already like their defense is so low.
Hmm.
Bofaing them is just, you're just annihilating them. So
Yeah.
I wanted to ask as well about running a small social clan. So when did that arise? Like, have you always kind of been, I don't know, like you said, you're running it. So have you been kind of a leader per se? I know that might not be the correct term necessarily, but I feel like when people run clans in RuneScape, they're naturally, inclined to kind of like fill leadership roles in a way. Like I want to,
Oh,
have a community that I can, help run and like nurture in a way.
so you're saying like you mean just like in general?
Yeah, yeah.
Like is
In
that like
general,
the
if
personality trait that I take?
exactly, yeah.
Um, I wouldn't necessarily say so because I do like guiding people in directions and I like helping other people, especially like I have this weird encyclopedic knowledge of this game. So it's like if I ever have that opportunity to share that with people, I like doing it. Like when I went to school for what I do for work right now, I I did fairly well in school and like I am good at, testing and having this knowledge and I'm also like I like speaking and I wouldn't necessarily call myself an extrovert, but like I do well around other people, like in groups of people and just like kind of coordinating that. So I would say so, yeah, because this wasn't something that I created. This was something that I was a part of this clan. The clan's called AFK. It's, I don't know how many members we have, but there's probably on the actual in-game CC, there's like 15 to 20 at a high, like not a ton of people on there, but it's like I was a part of this clan and I just really liked the vibe of it. It was just like it's not like no one's sweating their balls off. Everyone's helping each other. It's global. It's like no one's restricted from it. And I had been in this clan for a long time and it kind of died out. And then I joined like the UIM CC and then I was in you had him on the cast. What's Precision? The guy that runs Precision PVM. I forgot his
Oh,
name.
JT and Lone Jim. Wait, no, Precision. Oh crap. This is a
It
while
was a
ago, right?
while ago. It was a
Oh,
while
this
ago. It
was
wasn't it wasn't JT or Lone
yeah,
Jinrao. It
yeah,
was
yeah. I know. They run the
he runs
launch
marathons and
chasers.
shit.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
yeah,
can't
yeah.
remember his
Give me
name.
1 second. It's just like the name's not. Oh no, now I feel bad because I'm just trying to fucking remember one of my guests.
Okay, if it comes to you, shout it out.
Yeah,
But
I'll literally just look it up really quick. It's easy. But
yeah,
yeah, continue.
so I was in those, and then like I would guest in it, or like some of my accounts would be in it, and it was like the two guys that created it. They're from Holland, and like
Hmm.
the clan was very, we're all like freaking adults now. Like they all have jobs. We all have jobs, and I kind of went up to him one day, like one of the guys that ran it.
Oh,
I'm
I
like,
got it.
dude, like, what is
Porygon
it?
Z.
Oregon Z.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I
Good
could
guy.
not remember. I literally knew it was a Pokemon. Like I just remember the Pokemon was the
Nice.
thumbnail. But yeah,
For some reason in my head, I thought it was like Percy. And I was like,
yeah,
I'm
yeah,
not
yeah.
going to say that out loud because that's going to sound stupid as fuck if it's not. Anyways,
Yeah.
yeah,
Continue.
but I hit the guy up and I was like, we should get this thing going, man. Like, this was a good vibe. And then, so we ended up like posting it on like the old school RuneScape Discord and just like promoting it through that. So we kind of built it back up again, and it's just like it's a really nice place where we have these giga gamers that are like, master CAs going for grandmasters, and then we have these fucking people that are like, what's a mark of grace, And it's like it's so nice just being like the ability to help these people. And I have this stern rule too where I'm like, some people will come in and be like, hey, like new to the game, and someone's like, so there's these things called ticks, and I'm like, you shut the fuck up right now. And it's like I have this stern rule with new people where I'm like, don't give them information unless they ask. Like let them figure stuff out. And if they're like, okay, so like I killed this cow and now I have this thing, like what do I do with it? Oh, you craft with it. Oh, what can I make with crafting? And just like answer the questions that they have and like kind of guide them through that. But it's like, yeah, it's definitely like a leadership role where I'm not necessarily you're just kind of like helping people out, right? And it's a good feeling, and it helps people get into the game that are, brand new to the game, which is a weird thing as well. They're just like, yeah, I just tried this MMO out. And it's like you think everyone just like knows everything about it because we all played it as kids, but there's people genuinely in their 30s or like late 20s just picking this game up. And you're just kind of trying to guide them through, right?
Yep.
For like stuff like the events, I usually run those. So we'll do like bingos, we'll do like PvP tournaments and stuff. And like no one's like really good at these things, but we do it anyways. And that's definitely where like the leadership comes out, and you're just kind of like this like central unit umbrellaing the entire clan, just like organizing this entire thing. And it's like a part-time job sometimes, dude. It's crazy. But it's something that you give people this like opportunity to just like have buddies within the game, and just makes them love the game more because they have this thing that like they can go play the game, and then they can also just like shoot the shit with people and just like make friends and just like learn new things. So yeah.
That's cool. I mean, yeah, I would never. I mean, technically, I do run a clan, but I have my mods like run it. Really, it's just like it's like a social stream clan where people can just join in. But yeah, I realize like I am not fit for like these sort of leadership roles and planning events and stuff. I'm not built for it. But I'm always very impressed by those that do take on those roles and really create a space that's just safe and also just like fun for RuneScape, because ultimately as we get older and stuff, we realize like making friends is a lot more difficult in real life unless you've just always been really extroverted and you already have a bunch of like friend circles in real life and everything. But a lot of people, especially those that game a lot, once you get out of school, once you get out of college, it's just like, where the hell am I meeting people? And being able to meet people in game. And then beyond that, there's even clan meetups I see on Twitter all the time where like, oh my God, like this whole clan met up here, and like you just see them all meet up in person, and that's like amazing to see. And obviously we have Twitch cons and Rune Fests and stuff, and like those are always amazing. But the community aspect nowadays is so important. And like, 5 years ago, I probably wouldn't have seen it quite that way. But nowadays I'm like, dude, the people that are running these clans and really trying to get people involved is crucial for like the game's health as well.
Get out of their shell too, right? These bingos, these PvP tournaments, these things, like these people don't like, all they do is woodcut. Some of these people, you know what I mean? Like they're just bing chilling, dog. They don't do shit. They like maybe will kill barrows, but it's like, hey guys, scurrious mass, let's fucking go. And you get these people going there and like switching their prayers and like seeing people get, it might just be a scurrious spine, but it's a cool drop to them, right? And it just kind of like, it just like pushes them a little bit. Something I want to touch on that you mentioned about like the creating a safe space, right? So some like definitely a struggle that I go through is you get all types of people. No one's not allowed in this clan, right? So if you join in, you're like, hey, can I get an invite? Yeah, sure, man, totally. Obviously, you keep an eye on them, but you get all these different political views. You get all these different types of personalities, right? Mm-hmm. And you run into these problems of people, like no one's doing anything wrong.
Yep.
But it's like,
they're walking the tightrope where it's
and
not egregious enough to get them out, but you're like, all right, shit.
I definitely, I go on the side of, be a nice person. Like, don't be a piece of shit.
Yep.
But also don't be like a little bitch. Like don't be so offended. Like it's the internet, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So you kind of because like people will also get like people don't want it like too sane. You know what I mean? Like you can't call this person. I don't know. It's this fine line where people are like hanging out on the internet playing a video game, and I've had instances where people will go on um like the Discord voice calls, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then you get into arguments because someone's being way too sweaty and being like, you cannot bring this weapon into the raid because you have this weapon and this switch and blah blah blah. And you're just like, okay, children, you can calm down now. Like it's not that big a deal. You don't have to raid together, you know?
Yeah,
Pretty funny.
it's kind of I mean, again, like when like I'm running, not really running, but I have a clan where people just from my stream, which all over the world just join in, and there's definitely been just very few issues, surprisingly, which is very fortunate as well. But there will always be some clashing in the clan where somebody's either being like overly obnoxious and spamming or whatnot. But really, if you're a good leader, if you are in a leadership position, just in there like a admin or whatever, you just gotta gauge people's like actual motives. If somebody's being a clown and it's just kind of like who they are in a way, you can just privately reach out to them and just be like, hey, like, can you just like tone it back a little bit? And if they're a good actor, it's just like, all right, they're just gonna chill out a little bit.
Sometimes people just get into their own flow of things, and I don't think they realize they're being a big doucher,
Yeah. It's just important to like reach out to them. You don't need to embarrass them. You don't need to like freak out or anything, especially when other people, it's actually when you have those kind of like leadership roles in clans. And what I've noticed is if you're the calm and collected person and you're just kind of like going with the flow, other people will too. They'll see that and not react as much either.
Exactly. You gotta like set an example. There's been some times where you just kind of see someone come on and they're like, I'm fucking wasted, and they start saying wacky stuff, and you're just like, you just like message them, be like, I'm gonna kick you for the night, and you boot them out, and they're back in the next day, and they're just like, yeah, sorry, man.
Yeah, and it's totally good. See, if they have the appropriate response to it, they're good for the clan. It's just like it's
exactly.
fine.
If they fight back, you're just like, oh well, just don't come back, dude, because you're a weirdo. But
Yeah.
I will say, because I am kind of getting on the negative sides,
Mm-hmm.
the people in this clan are awesome. They're so fucking nice and sweet, and it's just like, it's just so heartwarming. It's just you sign on, just GM, and you get like 13 GMs,
Yep.
And there's something about that where it's like, this is what's kind of bringing me back, because yes, I play this game mode where I don't get to do things with people. I could obviously do raids with people, but it's like, you're pretty alone, man. So it's like having people just to shoot the shit with. Oh, Royal Titans came out. Yo, who wants to come with me? I'll carry you. Like you have these options to like do stuff with people, which is really, really cool. And just have like a network.
Yeah, that's cool. So I'm glad you're doing it. Let's talk about wilderness and PKing, which is obviously I'm not the person to be talking on these, but I love talking about it because
man.
It's just, I don't know, it's an interesting dynamic to the game we play, especially with predator versus prey kind of wilderness. So let's hear your take on it. Where do you see the state of PvP in this game at the moment? Where do you see it heading potentially? And just like your overall takes on wilderness and PKing.
So my credentials, first of all, so I'm not just like talking out my booty cheeks, is I do play, it was a 60 attack pure. He's now a 75 attack pure, and I play this like Perilous Moons, Voider, Zerker kind of build. I don't really, okay, so this is like two things that I want, like kind of like my takes on the wilderness. The wilderness needs to be in RuneScape. It needs to. Think about, okay, I don't play MMOs. I play RuneScape, but I've tried MMOs.
Mm-hmm.
There's nothing like the wilderness, dude. There's literally nothing like it. There are some like PvP flagged areas in games, but it's like there's nothing like the Wildy. And there's nothing like RuneScape PvP. The only games I play are RuneScape and like PvP games, like fighting games or like asymmetrical games. And there's nothing like this PvP. So when I got into it and I started doing it, I watched like streamers and YouTubers, and I was like, it looks fun, looks like a fun time. I'm going to try to learn this. And then getting into it and the intricacies of it, it's like learning PVM and learning to do like 400 solos after doing say you're doing like TOA 400 solos, comparing that to like doing like a 50 entry mode with 8 of your buddies. Like it's not the same thing.
Yep.
You learn like this whole other side of the game that's, it's hard and it's can be toxic sometimes. I'll be like, a lot of the toxic people are the people that you're killing. It's not really the PKers. Usually it's the Iron Man, but it's just like, it's super fun. It makes you really good at the game. It's super unique. And it just adds this element of like risk. And I know there's like that prey predator thing. And I know with Iron Man, they can fight back, but like, what's the fucking point? I don't think there's anything in the wilderness that you absolutely need anymore. Yes, there's the D pick. You can go to Calphite Queen for that. Yeah, there's the Void Waker. Honestly, Burning Claws will do. And it's like, if you are going to go in there for the Void Waker, just so you can do some CAs and like have that spec to do speed runs and stuff like that, it's like, I don't know, it's just, I don't know, maybe learn to anti-PK, or like you have the surveillance cam things now. I think it's required, the wilderness, with how many people engage with it. I think the state of PvP isn't in a great spot, but I think the wilderness needs to stay there. And I think they need to like get people into PvP more, or do something where like people are rewarded a little bit more. Say like for an Iron Man, if they wanted to anti-PK, they get like, it's tough because of boosting and like, you could have like your buddy die to your Iron Man and get a bunch of money, but there should be something like, I don't know, maybe you get like bounty hunter emblems and you get resources from killing people. So you don't really go out of your way to kill people, but maybe you get something where you can like take this thing in that you killed this dude trying to rag you at Callisto, and now you get a bunch of blighted resources for it. So there's like a little bit of incentive to fight back, but it's also like, it keeps like the actual flow and the food chain of the wilderness going, because as like an asymmetrical back and forth, like, yeah, it's probably annoying for some people, but it's not necessarily required. And I think it's a really cool, fun aspect of the game that should never be taken away.
I'm with you where wilderness is like obviously iconic to RuneScape, and I agree with you that it shouldn't be taken away. My issue with the wilderness in general is just how asymmetrical everything is. It's like
right.
all the odds are stacked against the victim out there. It's just always been the case, and that is what I would love to just address like head on and just find a reasonable, because we are not playing a game that's all mains. Like, I'm sorry, we're playing a game where it's like literally half the players are bots, more than that. But but besides that, but like we have half the players that are running around as Iron Men or Ultimate Iron Men or hardcores. So we need to fundamentally address that concern, because we're not playing a game where 5% of the people are Iron Men and then the rest are mains. Like,
not that anymore,
literally,
for sure.
Most of the people going to the wilderness are probably Iron Men at this point, trying to get some, good shit for their irons. Now, I actually don't have any stats to back that up whatsoever, but like it's probably pretty 50-50. I don't even know. Again, excluding bots and gold farmers if you're throwing those in there, because those are all main accounts, obviously. But I mean, and I had proposed this would be a huge change, of course, but one of the ideas I had thought of was, if we really want to encourage genuine activity in the wilderness and engagement, you have to balance the playing field. And one of the ways to do that is to give Iron Man an actual reason to fight back. And one of the ways to very appropriately do that would be to completely like offset the asymmetrical tilt of like, if an Iron Man brings out Dragon Claws there and somehow gets smited for them, it's not just you lost, 50 or 80. I don't even know how much they are right now, but like you didn't just lose that cost and you can just,
like 100 hours.
Yeah, more than 100 hours. I mean, you probably now have to spend 150, 250. If you go dry, now you're looking at 500 hours at Cox to reobtain. Like, that is so backwards. So there's so much more like writing on dying on an Iron Man or getting skull tricked, which I will give credit where it's due.
Man, if you're getting skull tricked, like
I'll give credit where it's due. I mean, the PK skull prevention was a phenomenal update. I had been yelling about that for years, and it finally dropped. And I was like, thank God, because literally so many PKers were against this. So many they were like, if we ever added something like this is like just completely against old school. Guess what? It's been one of the healthiest updates, because now you go out there and you're not getting these fucking rats to find some weird ass coding in the game that you can abuse to get people to lose their items that they weren't even trying to risk. A lot of the philosophy of like early PKers that had that toxic mindset was like, oh, never go out in the wilderness with anything you aren't risking or willing to, risk to potentially lose. And that's just so backwards. I mean, you should be able to go out there feeling like, okay, if I have 3 valuable items out here, I will not lose them if I turn on this setting. And I love that they've gone down that route. And to address more of this and to actually encourage engagement, which would actually lead to a healthier wilderness. Again, this whole idea, a lot of people accuse me of like being so Iron Man brained that this is benefiting Iron Man. It's not about that. It's genuinely about improving the wilderness for everybody, including PKers. And that is to add a coffer to Iron Man accounts. Now, this coffer cannot be touched by the actual Iron Man himself. But what happens is you'd go to an NPC or some coffer in Edgeville or something, and you type in the name of the Iron Man that you want to deposit money into. So you could have a main account that you've dropped a bunch of dupes over to, and now this main has like let's just say like $3 bills on the account or something. Just dump in a bill onto this Iron Man coffer to your Iron Man's name, and now when the Iron Man dies in the wilderness, whatever they were risking just gets taken out from the coffer. So when the Iron Man dies, he doesn't actually lose anything on the account, but the PKer still benefits and gets the exact GP amount that he was willing to risk.
I really like that, except I think it should be from the Iron Man itself.
But why?
Like, because that's like kind of just promoting Altscape. Like you're kind of making it so that you need another account or someone else to do it for you. There's like a weird middleman thing there. So like, say you get dupe Ancestral Top, you can put that in and it goes in for like the GE value, I guess.
Yeah. No, would so let me just also clarify what I meant by the Iron Man can't touch it is the Iron Man can't like take advantage of it. So technically the Iron Man could just directly dump into it, and what it would do is like you're dumping into it, it deletes the item and it gives you a GE value of it, and that would be also there. But you don't need to go down that route. So if your Iron Man has no dupes on it, you could just use an alternate account that's going to fund it for you.
Okay, so you're just kind of, I don't love that, but I like where that's going. Like I like how they have a coffer, so it's like both people get rewarded, and it's kind of like you're not losing these like overly scaled, proportionately, like, it's not just GP to the Iron Man, like they're losing something they literally went 3x drive for and they cry themselves to sleep that night. Like 100%. Like I think that should happen, but I do think it should be like kind of a Death's Coffer thing where like that Iron Man directly contributes to it, because I feel like to be able to bring something out to the wilderness as an Iron Man that you earned, you should earn the protection for it as well. So it's like having like a rich ass main, you can just be like, because then it's like, I don't know. I think both sides are good, but I think just to make it less janky, like imagine you went to go type your name in, you put in like squat car, and squat car got
squat cam.
Yeah, but no, I mean like you missed type.
Okay.
And some dude named Squat Car got like 200 mil for his coffer, Anyways,
I mean, you could also just you could just go directly to the Iron Man himself. Obviously, some idiot's going to make a blunder like that, but I respect the pushback. I'm just genuinely curious, because if there was a good enough reason to prevent any main from, depositing into it, 'cause the whole reason I want mains to be able to deposit is the same reason why I want them to be able to withdraw as well. So you could actually withdraw money from this coffer. So if you have an Iron Man account, you are actually now, if you're doing wilderness content and somebody starts attacking you, you can actually attack the PKer now. And if you kill the PKer, that money, whatever he dropped, instantly teleports to the Grand Exchange, gets sold to, whatever the lowest, person that was trading it. So it's going for basically like minimum value kind of, but it gets directly sold to there and it gets instantly inserted into this coffer. So now you can actually just viably PK on your Iron Man if you so wish, or anti-PK, or whatever you're trying to do. So there is more engagement, and now you can actually profit, but through a different account. So the Iron Man can't ever directly benefit from this, but
yeah, exactly.
You can fund an additional account for dupes and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, and you couldn't, what's it called? You can't give the argument of like, oh, you can just boost with that because it's just going to a main anyways.
Exactly.
Which it wouldn't, that argument's invalid at that point. So I like that. It sounds a little janky. Like it sounds a little funky how there's just like, you're just like kind of dumping into this pool. Cause I don't think there's anything like that in the game where you can like directly like interact with another account. That's, but I do think that that's a good solution or something along the lines of that.
If you knew that no matter what, if I died, I'm going to respawn with basically fucking everything on me, and the value of it is going to be given to the PKer and a key. And so the PKer still gets all the benefit. The Iron Man doesn't feel this huge setback of like, well, fuck this. I hate the wilderness. I'm logging out. I hate this game. So it's beneficial in so many ways, in the healthy way of potentially getting the anti-PK. So now you can fund your coffer more. And I just think genuinely this would be such an improvement over the game. And here's one more thing I'll add before I let you jump in is mains could even be offered this as well. I think there's actually a way.
Okay. That's what I was going to say, but go on. Yeah.
I was going to say, because this almost seems like too good to be true in a way for Iron Man to just all of a sudden they died, they respawn, their coffer was loaded enough to pay the full cost. They respawn with all their shit still. And mains could also be offered the same service. Now, I think the way to go about this would be to have an upcharge for both. So an upcharge for irons and mains, where like if you want to use this service, technically the PKer is now going to be making like 5 or 10% on top of it. So as a main, you actually wouldn't necessarily want to go down this route, because every time you die, you're actually going to now lose 5 or 10% additional because of the convenience fee. And I think that would be a good way to go about it, because now it's like this nice service that's offered to all players across the board. There's a 5 to 10% fee for the convenience. But now if you're like a PKer and you died and your coffer was loaded up again with a 10% upcharge for you dying, you just respawn in Edgeville or wherever your respawn point is, and you got all your shit still on you, but you just paid the full cost.
I think that's awesome. I think it's like, that would be really nice, because there's so many times like on my Pure and on my Zerker where you're just like, you die and you want to go back out. And the reason I don't go back out is because you spawn and you're just like, I don't want to have to do this again, like re-gear.
Yep.
And now there's like the presets and whatnot happening, which is really nice for that. And like, they have things like the chugging barrel, which makes like pre-potting really nice, because pre-potting on a PKing account, you're like anti-poison, anti-fire, combat potion, ranging potion, stamina, fucking this, that, the other. And it's just like, imbued heart, anglerfish, brew, anglerfish again. Like it's crazy. So they're making that stuff a lot easier, but it's like, that is such an annoying part of it is like, and I think if you were to do that as well, it could be like, get rid of Truver apartments or Truver parchments and just have it. If you lose an untradeable, it just takes more money out kind of thing. But if like, again, if you don't have the money, you just lose the items. Like, let's just say that you just straight up lose the items. But it's like, when I first got into PKing, I was kind of stupid and I went in on my main, and I remember being like, I'm just going to go in Void into Vedion or Calvarion. And like, I'll be below 20 wilderness, but when you're in Calvarion, you're at like 21. And I went in there, killed a couple people, blah, blah, blah. It's fine. Just killing people, getting like 200K out of it. Go up to this one guy and he just fucking rips me apart. And I lost Elite Void and my Fire Cape. And I was like,
oh my God.
You know what I did? I said, I think we're going to make a UIM. Like literally in that moment, I was like, I'm done with mains. So it kind of started something good. But at the same time, if there was an option to just have the coffer and not lose that stuff and waste was it hundreds of hours? It's a long time to get Elite Void. So
yeah, a good like 12 hours with CAs and stuff still.
yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
Getting all that
Nastiness. But yeah,
it's
so
not
I like
fun.
that idea. I think it's sick.
It's
There's
healthy
something I
and
was gonna say about it too, and I think it was that. I think it was like
yeah.
the PKers having that option as well, just to not lose stuff, is
Yep.
really nice.
Yep.
I'm wondering though,
Mm-hmm.
I'm not huge in the economy, obviously, like as an iron, like I don't really pay attention to it. And then again, like when I do play on my PK accounts, it's like I have a decent amount of money and I'm only playing on Pures and Zerker, so I'm not spending a lot. So whenever I buy shit, I'm just like plus 20%, like just give it to me, you know?
Yeah.
I wonder if it'd be better for the economy if, say, you killed someone with this service in effect, it just went into your coffer. So you're just blanketing yourself a bit more. But you can, yeah, because I feel like just getting like maybe raw cash might be a little spicy. I don't know though.
It's not getting. I mean, because when you kill somebody and they have that setting on, all of their items would just instantly magically teleport to the Grand Exchange, be sold at like an average value, whatever anybody's actually paying for it.
Right.
Then, so it's basically, in a way, this transfer service is like sort of a detriment in a little way, because you wouldn't be actually squeezing out maximum value from selling it yourself. It would just be getting insta sold, and then that cash gets instantly
which you're doing anyways, unless you're like flipping it.
Yeah,
but
yeah,
most
yeah.
PKers and whatnot, you're not doing that. You're just selling it.
I just think and not even just for the health of the wilderness, the health of everybody feeling like they have a fair shot and they're not going to get massively set back on their account or feel this just fucking horrible feeling that, you know, somebody like, I don't know, was just ragging them out in the wilderness. Like just having this system where you die and it's literally not the end of the world. In fact, it feels like nothing. It's just like, okay, the person got your money, what it was worth, whatever you were holding, whatever you were like risking. And now you just move on and you just go and you're already geared. In fact, because we've been having this conversation, I'm almost imagining, I just want to cross this by you. This is something I maybe is too OP, but what if we were just to have this like across the board with deaths in PVM? So like when you die, you just respawn with the exact same inventory and the exact same gear you had on where you spawn. And you're just boom there and you paid the cost already. And maybe it even has an increased fee to it. Would that be too OP? Would that feel like death isn't even anything? Like I almost feel like having to reclaim gravestones is like, yeah, maybe that's the punishment that needs to be given for poor gameplay and you dying. But ultimately, I'm like, dude, we're playing in a new era of convenience scape, and like
I don't.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I don't think you need the punishment though. Like the punishment enough is like you wasted your pot, you wasted your resources by not getting that kill. You are wasting your time going back. Like we don't need that like whole, because the only thing that you're doing is some places like next you're like risking a wipe, which is fucked.
Yeah. No,
you know what I mean?
Already against, I mean, I think most people as well are already against that bullshit where like you can do double wipes at places, because across the game you have these gravestones. But in any instance where there's like some coffer that you have to pay, if you double death, it's like the fucking end of the world. Where if you double death with the gravestone, it's literally nothing.
I have so much anxiety, dude, about wiping on this account. Like I literally will leave my computer on at a star or whatever, and I'm like, or I'll be in Camp Toro mining like I am right now. There's nothing that can kill me here, but I'm like, what if my cat jumps on my compuper and then clicks on the mini map and then clicks on Perilous Moons and then somehow makes it to Blue Moon and I just fucking, you know what I mean?
Yep.
We'll get back to this, but because we're talking about this right now, there's this in the UIM CC in the Discord, there's a channel called UIM Mistakes. And it's the best fucking channel ever, because you can see all these newbie dudes wiping at Song of the Elves and losing like their 30 ran RCs and their IBAN staff. But it's also probably one of the saddest things ever, because especially recently, never forget, March 7th, in the same day, I don't think they wiped in the same day, but they posted it in the same day. There were 2 wipes equaling 12 bill. Scythes, T-bows, Shadows, Blorva, Ultra Ring.
Fuck that.
2 guys lost their shit. First one was from him being death banked, which you should never be death banked while doing anything that you can die at, but it was winter tot. He died at winter tot, max like regen bracelet, HP cape, like everything. Just like AFK'd and got like the worst RNG he's ever gotten in his life.
Oh my
Wiped like his
God.
T-bow, Soul Reaper axe, I think, Shadow, the other guy, and I feel so bad. This is Sleazy Scape and No, so I'm shouting them out. They're both Giga Gamers, like front page kind of guys, right? This guy, No, he explained in the thread below his wipe, he had like a family emergency while he was death piling. And if you don't know, for UIMs, when you death pile, there's like a timer based like on your character for an hour that shit stays on the ground.
Mm-hmm.
So even if you log off, it's fine.
Yeah.
Like it stays there. But he death piled, said he had a family emergency, had to walk away from his computer, came back after a lengthy time, like something must have happened that's obviously like, you know, terrible. And he just came back onto the game and just started cutting trees. You know, nothing happened. Started cutting trees, and I guess that hour went away and just everything gone.
Oh my God, dude.
Could you imagine having a
what
family emergency and then losing like everything? And we're just like, so are you rebuilding? And he just puts a picture of his new hardcore's name. You know, he's just like,
he's making a hardcore now. Yeah.
Yeah, he just remade. Yeah.
It's like that is the equivalent of just having like a pimped out, like if Sae Bae were to be hacked and lose everything.
Literally.
It's almost to the point where like, okay, I don't even want to play this account because it's just, I mean, there would still be some reasons to play it. Like it's got a ton of XP and it's, you know, got a lot of clogs done, but man, like it's just a different beast to rebuild an account that's already at that stage where you'd almost rather just restart and just have the full authentic experience of building up an account from scratch again.
Yeah, it might be cool to maybe like build up gear from a different avenue. Like how, like, you know, you're at max, you're not going to Perilous Moons, you're not going to Royal Titans. I don't know. The Royal Titans is a bad example, but maybe you can do that and just be like, yeah, like I'm just going to do a Moons build. Like I'm not going to go back to CG. Fuck CG. I'm just going to go like right for Moons to like Tob. I'm just going to do Tob and just do, I don't know. Because I know some guys.
It is. Sorry, I'll just interject real quick. Is like it is true that an Iron Man's definitely different than a UIM, especially like if you have a max account. It would actually be kind of a cool series to just be totally wiped with a max cape and build off of that. Like that has potential. Yeah,
for sure. Because it's like there's so much new stuff that comes to the game, and people that are max, it's like the thing with UIM is you're kind of like skipping content. Like I am not going to Sire, dog. I'm not going there. There's no way I'm going to Sire. I'm not. Let me like pull up the boss list. I got my trident. I blocked Kraken. You know what I mean? Like I'm not doing that. I got what else can I think of? Just stuff like that. Like you just don't do certain grinds because it's kind of obsolete now. Whereas an Iron, you're kind of just like, yeah, fuck it. Like I'll just go there. But it's like I don't want these bludgeon pieces hanging around my inventory.
Yeah.
As like a UIM, like a rebuild's kind of interesting. Like one of my really good buddies, he wiped, like I had a big wipe, like Bofa, I can't remember exactly, but it was like all Zenites and, you know, he was like very late game, wiped everything. And he went dry. I think he got like a 1200 KC Bofa, which is the worst. Rebuilt again, got the Noxious Halberd, did some Tob because he had a nice empty inventory and he was doing good. Wiped again. And I was just like, dude, like, what are you gonna do? And he's like, I don't know, man. I'm just gonna go to TOA. Got like a 20 KC Shadow. So it's like wiping on a UIM is the worst, but if you're not that deep where you already have everything, it's kind of like liberating, you know?
It's
you
true.
Can be like, hey, like I just have all this room to do shit. Like might as well just go get a Void Waker, I guess. Yeah. Anyways,
UIM, the UIM wiping is a different beast entirely. I mean, trying to reobtain shit from scratch on a UIM is just God. Yeah.
It's the potions, I think, would get me the most. Like right now,
you're right.
I have a death bank because Chambers is safe, but I always pull out my noted potions. Like I'll lose my suffering, you know, I'll lose my noted dragon bones that I have from Slayer, but like, dude, these which are obsolete now, my like 13,000 stams, If I lost that, bro, I'm never gonna use them. But if I lost that, come on now.
Yeah, that's brutal. All that work.
Yeah,
Um,
exactly.
so let me ask you about potential new game modes. It's something you had kind of brought up in our notes in our DM, and this is something I've been wanting. I think it's so cool to have new game modes come out. You don't need to pump them out. I think once a year or once every 2 years is appropriate. But I've been just dying for a new game mode.
Yeah. I think one of the coolest game modes there is right now, which kind of follows with how people like to play anyways. I really want there to be, and this like might dilute some stuff. I don't think it fucking matters, dude. People are gonna play what they want to play. It's not gonna change anything. I personally want an official Bronzeman mode.
Ooh, okay.
I think Bronzeman is so
Now,
sick.
let me just make sure we're on the same page with Bronzeman mode. Would this be a version of you having to actually go to the source for stuff, or would this also include PKing, where you can PK stuff?
So that's where like integrity gets a little dicey. I would want it to be that you can PK, but obviously there's gonna be people who be like, yo, I just like really want a scythe. Can I just kill you? You know what I mean?
You just literally kill your alt and then just like give him the shit bag. It's like you just have.
But I'm wondering
unlocked.
if like now that I'm kind of glad you brought this up because I didn't have a solution for that, but I wonder if there can be some weird inverse coffer thing that you talked about where it's like if you have 1.6 bill in there, you can say, yeah, no, give me that scythe, you know, something like that. Because it's like you would technically already have the funds from a main, or you've worked that hard to get it. Obviously, no one's PKing with a scythe, but you know what I mean.
What if there was two different Bronzeman modes that drop, similar to Iron Man and Ultimate Iron Man that dropped in 2014?
No, they would have to do one. They would have to do one because then you'd have like blue helm, green helm shit.
Yeah, but it would just simply be. I mean, the thing is, I mean, I thought, you know, based on what you were just saying, I mean, who really cares? It just, you don't feel like it really dilutes things. I'm just in my head, I'm just thinking, we already have so many helmets. I don't give a fuck. I think it's almost like it's just people worry about it for no real reason. It's just something to worry about it. Like, oh, there's so much convolution in this game. And then it's like,
something
okay,
that
well,
if they
I just moved
came
on
out
with
with
my day
something,
and I never think about it again. But like, there's just, whenever it gets brought up, people are like, have this like irrational terror of it. Like, oh shit, we have too many game modes, even though nobody gives a fuck.
if they came out with something, maybe there'd be people whining about it for a day. No one's gonna care. People are just gonna play it, and people are gonna have fun, and it's gonna just like be another part of the game.
So I'm just imagining, because in my perfect world, it would just be Bronzeman mode that you actually have to go to the source and get it. And as soon as it's marked off on your clog, you're good to go. You can get it. You can buy it. If you've ever, you know, just so everything else you can just buy on the Grand Exchange if it's not on the clog, you know, and that would be how Bronzeman mode works. But there would also just be the easier version of it, which is the more like, this would be prestige, and then there would be the unprestige, which would just have maybe a slightly different trim to the helmet on your name or on your guy's, you know, name down there. And it would just be the unofficial sort of non-prestige version where you can actually just PK for it. So creators can go and, you know, like Framed could make a series based off it and have an official thing. And, you know, it's just hold yourself to your own integrity standard. But ultimately, if you're just getting fucked over by something, you can just go kill your main for, you know, whatever weapon you wanted.
Yeah, I guess you could also technically, what you could do, like kind of a mixture of that. Say like AGS, you really want to PK with that, or, you know, yeah, AGS. Let's just say that you go get it from Armadillo, and then once you have it, you can PK it. You can PK a Cerebrew once you make a Cerebrew.
I mean, that's how it would be with the prestige mode as well. I mean, as soon as
yeah, but I mean, like you can't
source,
actually get it from a person unless you've already had it from the source. Is that what you meant?
Oh, interesting. So what you're okay? So yeah, maybe let me rewind a little bit, because now I'm trying to think exactly how Bronzeman mode worked in theory. What is it? Is
Bronzeman you could straight up kill someone and then that unlocks the item.
Okay.
But I'm thinking you need to get the item to get it from a person. So you can't just go as like a level, like, you know, 55 mage in the wilderness and PK and AGS. Like you would need to like get to Arma, farm it, and then you can get it, because at that point it's like,
Well,
I
that's
guess
how.
you could, like get more AGSs by like, having someone boost or like farm for you, but it's like you could do that on a main. I don't know, because it is
So
kind of like a main with extra steps, but it just kind of like gives a bit more incentive to do certain grinds, right?
what would happen if you went out PKing and you hadn't already gotten an AGS, or it already hadn't gotten the hilt? And also, would you just need the hilt, or would you also have needed to obtain the 3 Godsword shards to actually get the full Godsword? Because then I'm wondering, what happens if you actually go out there with your DDS, PKing, and then they drop something you can't have? Do you still get it? You just can't wield it? Is that going to be the case? So you could still have it, but you eventually need to go to the source to actually wield the AGS. But you could
I
still
like that
have
idea.
PK'd
It's
it.
broken. It's broken, or it's locked, or something like
It's not.
that.
It's not even like it's locked.
Or
It's just you just can't equip it until
yeah,
you've gotten it.
right. So it's like
Okay.
it'll recognize, I guess, that you've equipped your own before, something like that. I like
Yeah.
that idea, but I just think whatever comes out, I really like Bronzeman mode, and with like collection logging. I don't know what it is. I can't go back to my main, man. It's just like it doesn't do anything for me. I
Yeah.
have no incentive to do anything.
Yep.
And it's like I even will go like do Slayer on my pure, because I'm like, oh, I kind of want to do Monkey Madness too. You know what I mean? And I'm just like, I'm out there. I do one task. I'm like, wow, this is probably the worst time I've ever had in this game.
It's so true, dude. Once you get
It's
Iron
so
Man
bad.
coded, it's just over.
I didn't even make an Iron Man. I went right to UIM, man. It was crazy.
But just Iron Man in general, I'm just like
Yeah,
Ultimate
yeah.
Iron Man, all those Iron modes, like just they're so good. Once you get hooked, it's just
the best way
bad.
to play the game, dude. It really is.
Yeah.
I've never had more fun than this account. And it's like getting something that you worked your ass off for, and you go dry on it, or you just do 40 attempts of the Inferno, and you're just like, dude, that feels fucking good.
Listen,
Yeah.
I'm fully on board with Bronzeman mode, and I think there's
Yeah.
even a further benefit to introducing this, which is being able to keep the normal Iron Man modes slightly more pure. Whereas, because there's such an influx of players now playing Iron Man mode, and they just want to play as if it's a Bronzeman mode. Like they hate the farming, they hate the birdhouse runs, they hate all the fucking bullshit they need to do. They just want to like have that Iron Man experience where they get stuff, but they can still buy all their resources, they can buy all their potions, they buy all their food from the Grand Exchange, and just have that sort of still that Iron Man experience. And so I think actually introducing Bronzeman mode solves that, because there's a huge chunk of players that want to play that way, but in turn they're playing Iron Man mode, so Iron Man mode gets continually devalued over time. So the people that actually, because there is a chunk of players that actually like Iron Man mode for what it is, which is the self sustaining element of it, where you have to do all the skilling, you have to do your birdhouses, you have to do everything. There's actually people, believe it or not, if you're on the camp of Bronzeman mode, there's actually people that enjoy that mode. And so when that gets diluted more and more and more over time, I think we're doing both camps a disservice in a way. So like
Interesting.
introducing Bronzeman mode would be so healthy for the game.
Yeah. Because it's like, yeah, there are those people that like getting that drop feels so good, but it's like, yeah, like, dude, farming and thieving master farmers, like that sucks. That's not fun stuff. So it's like it kind of caters to both, because it's like for me, I wouldn't want to make another iron. But then it's like when I'm playing a main, if I were to do that whole like Bodhi route, where it's like I'm gonna do everything, I'm gonna get everything in the collection log. Like, oh, he kind of started that. He almost did like the Iron Main, kind of like what Nine Rain did and whatnot. But it's like knowing as not a content creator that's like, pushing this stuff out for content, I just be like, yeah, I'm good. Like I would just buy it.
Yep.
I would just get it anyway. So it's like I think it just like the restriction and the actual like official restriction is something that matters to me. It's like the same reason why I've never played like private servers for games, because I'm just like, this isn't real.
Yeah, I'm with you.
And it's like this game's got such a good community where like flexing and like showing stuff off, like people will like genuinely be impressed by it, and it feels good. Like you work for something. It's like normalize being proud of your achievements. You're not just a sweaty nerd because you grinded Zulrah for hundreds of hours to get this one drop. It's like, it's cool, man. It's like it shows dedication, and I think that's why people like Iron Man so much. So having that Bronzeman mode where it's like you can kind of do both and be like, you see someone with an AGS, you're like, dude, that's good for you, man.
Yep. Yeah, no, I think that's a good idea. And there's a lot of people that want Bronzeman mode too. So
Yeah.
let's move on to sailing and new skills in general. So obviously sailing, if you heard, is going to be dropping later this year, which is insane. Was not expecting that. With the alpha coming very soon. Actually, pretty sure it's this month, right?
There's like I don't know actually. I remember seeing the RuneFest thing. If it's I remember seeing it coming at the end of the year.
Yeah.
I'm not sure about the alpha though.
What are your thoughts? I mean, are you optimistic about sailing? Do you think it's going to land? Do you think it should be held off for a little bit longer, or are you happy that it's coming earlier than expected?
So, I obviously, when it came out, like the proposition for a skill, it's so like grandiose. Everyone's like, holy fucking shit, that's crazy. And everyone's like down for it. But now the more that I see it, first of all, like, so T Papa Slice released a video on his take on it because he tried it at Roomfest, and he was like, it's good because it feels like a skill, but it's bad because it feels like a skill too. And I was like, that's such an interesting take, because it's like skills really aren't that fun. It is the end goal, right? Or like skills will have certain aspects in them that are fun, but like the actual core loop of a skill for the most part isn't that good. Like, I know you're really into like tick manipulation methods, and then like, like that gives you some sort of satisfaction, but it's like, fire making or crafting like aren't fun things to do. I'm kind of torn between, make it a thing we can just do and like have us hunt while sailing, and just make it something we can just like achieve, and maybe make it some interesting thing where it's like to sail you need like a total level. I don't know, maybe not, scrap that, but it's like I'm torn between it being a skill and it just being something we can do on top of like the other skills we have. Because it sounds like sailing for the most part is going to end up being like a multi-skill thing where it's like you can go hunting and fishing and doing this while you're sailing kind of thing. I also, this is a weird one, and I never really played RS3. Like when RS3 was a thing, I was kind of a noob. And like I do remember summoning, and I never understood how it worked because I was a kid and my frontal lobe wasn't developed, and I was, just running around cutting trees. But I like taming because I'm like, that's kind of like an actual skill, and it'd be kind of cool having these like little dudes in your POH or like a player-owned farm. And I don't know, it's just like, to me, that's like actually a
flopped. They flopped him so hard. They gave it no energy whatsoever. I'm like, all right.
And that's why I didn't vote for it, because I was like, there wasn't really anything there. But to me, like, I don't know, I like little dudes, man.
Dude,
and they don't have to be like around you all the time. I don't know. I just like, I kind of like looking back on it. I wish we got a better proposal on that. Because for me, it was like taming shamanism, then sailing. I was like, I'm not like a huge pirate enjoyer. I think pirates are lame, out of all the tropes of like fantasy, I'm like, pirates are the most lame. So not a huge fan, but I'm optimistic, I'll say.
Yeah, I'm trying to remain optimistic. I just hope the skill, and again, I've said this previously, like I think the J mods are pretty well calibrated for finding enjoyment and brain dead activity to be like for long-term grinds like that. They need to strike that balance of like interesting gameplay, but ultimately once you get it down after 10-20 hours, it's just brain off and enjoy yourself and chill. And I hope sailing is a chill skill. That's all I want. You can have the sweat method. I think they announced it as Barracuda Trials, which is like navigating your ship in precise ways, and that can be for the sweats. But for the vast majority of players, they'll just be doing their little shipments and stuff and just being on the sea with their bros, on their boats and just hanging out. I think that would be great.
I think sailing in general is going to open up a lot of cool stuff, like raids and just like different methods of doing things, like different movement too, like kind of cool. Like the movement they're doing with the skill, like it's going to be different, but it's like I'm warmly welcoming that, because like movement is a big part of the game. So if they can nail that, it's going to be cool. It's going to be fun to do, like with the Barracuda Trials. I think if they release it, obviously I'm not expecting a fleshed out skill. I don't want a fleshed out skill. I want it to be bare bones. I don't want them to release this skill. Yeah, man. I don't want them to release this skill and have all this shit, and then like half of it's irrelevant, like Give us like obviously like 2 early game things, 2 mid game things, 2 late game things, whatever. Make one of them chill and then one of them sweaty for everything, and then just add on that. Because I think every skill needs like a chill method, and every skill needs kind of like tick manipulation, really engaged, like you're playing the game kind of thing. But that's how I really want them to release it, is just kind of like it is what it is. Maybe they like drop the skill and there's like not that much going on, has decent XP rates. And then they can just like expand from there, because I don't want them to just like dilute it and muddy it up right away where it's like they can't really grow, and like they make this one method that's like way too good and they can't like push that boundary, you know?
That's interesting. That's an interesting take. I feel like most people would disagree with that, and they'd actually want a more fleshed out on release. In fact, I think the J mods want that, because if they release something that's bare bone, even though you would be okay with it, vast majority of people would be like, "What the fuck? Like, we fucked up. Like, take this out right now. Like, this is awful."
It's because we have the internet to like yap on, man. It's like, I don't know. It's something that kind of bugs me, where no one can just be happy with what's released. There's always someone that's pissed. And it's like maybe because we didn't have the internet when we were kids, or like these forums, or like this mindset to take on games. But like, say like there's a game released in like 2001, right? You get it on your PS1, whatever the fuck, whenever that came out, and there's a level in it that sucks. You don't care. You just kind of do it. Like there's a lot of stuff that's kind of ass, and people propose all these things, or it's like not ideal, but it's just like nothing has to be perfect.
Yeah.
There can be these janky things. There can be this like not as great things, but it's like, because we have these platforms and anyone can talk about it, and you know, people can grab on and gravitate towards certain people's takes. People are gonna voice their opinions, which is fine, but it's also, you know, it creates this thing that the mods have to like consider, or people that make games in general to consider, right?
Yeah, we're definitely with the internet and social media and everything. It's just a completely different world. And there's also value in like being shocking online. Not value, but like there's incentive to being shocking. And so people, where normally in a normal human interaction or in person, you know, just be very just like easygoing and easy to get along with people, and all their criticism would be pretty constructive for the most part. Online, it's just a lot of people are just completely anonymous, and shouting is going to be the only way to get any sort of like eyeballs on your point. And so if something is even just mildly annoying, you have to make it so extreme just so it gets eyeballs, and then that becomes diluted because other people start doing it. Because if they're trying to be tame, now all the shocking other things that people are saying is going to rise up above it. And so like people now have this incentive to like fight for like the most shocking thing to like say, or the most like egregious, even though it's if it's not even like, you know, detailing the actual truth of it. It's just like there's just so much incentive to be so like insane with what you say online. It's so bad. And even with video games and stuff, I mean, obviously politics is a different beast, but like in video games, we see online like people that have a take on RuneScape. It's so fucking just menial. It means nothing. They'll go so crazy on it. We see people and players on Twitter that, you know, every time Old School posts something, they'll share their thoughts, and it's just like, like, are you a psychopath in real life? Like, actually, but they're probably not.
You good?
It's just like, yeah, like they're probably totally fine, but they've just completely. I mean, they're probably not fine, to be fair, but like a lot of people that are online, they have like a split personality where like in real life they're totally fine, and then online they just turn on this extra engine that's just like, what the fuck have you become? You're a creature,
dude. Sometimes I go on Reddit and I'm just like, no way you exist.
Yeah.
Like to some people, I'm just like, there's no way.
Yeah.
That you were just yapping. You're just saying things, and I just like, I don't know. I have this like weird Reddit hate, and I see people doing stuff, and I'm just like picturing them behind their computers, just like snarling, going and like typing stuff. And I just Reddit, like whenever I see, oh god,
no, I mean Reddit is the perfect place to literally just fall in line and just like, how am I going to get upvotes? Like, how am I going to get karma? And so you just keep going along with what you think people want to hear.
Yeah, they go show their mom their upvoted post. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I mean, it's seriously, it's just like the addiction of like upvotes, and it goes beyond just Reddit and stuff. It's everywhere. You want likes, you want everything. And so like how can you please, the people to get the most upvotes, even if it's something you don't even believe in? You end up starting.
That's it.
You end up believing it because you just spew it so much because you want the karma, you want the attention.
You just want the like this sort I'm looking for.
The
The
dopamine
gratification. Yeah, you just want people to like agree with you and just be at the center.
Yeah.
So I feel like people will yap their beliefs. But it's also like, I feel like when you see stuff on like threads like that, it might not even be something that you necessarily agree with. Cause I'm guilty of this, where I see something, I'm like, yeah, like true, like that kind of sucks. But then you just haven't heard the other side or another take on it yet. And then you hear the other take and you're like, oh fuck no, like that's true. You're just like, wait, no. Yeah. And I think that's like another thing with like sailing is like people were just like, yo, sick. And then like we see things and we have other takes and people are like, I know a lot of people that voted for sailing that are like, I don't know about this one, guys. They're just like not. And I'm just using that as an example, but like that's how a lot of people work, right? It's like you don't have the full picture. So you just see something, you'd be like, yeah, man, like that's, yeah.
Yeah, no, it's crazy actually. And this goes way beyond just small things like video game talk, but like you can hear a take that's so convincing, but it's actually carefully crafted to be very deceptive actually.
Yeah, it's like catered.
The full truth. Yeah. I mean, that was exactly my whole life growing up in Mormonism. I mean, it's just like everything you'd hear, it sounds like truth, because it's carefully crafted to kind of just fit this sort of narrative. And genuinely, like you just see it as like, okay, this makes perfect sense. But then you actually hear somebody pushing back against it that's actually, telling the actual truth and has articulated it perfectly. And you're like, holy fuck, I was deceived. Like, that's crazy.
All you're exposed to, right? Yeah, it's like that's all you know. So why would you ever think otherwise?
Have you ever? I mean, even the message itself, though, can be so perfect. I mean, I don't want to go like too far into this, but like there will be talks from like, the high ups in the Mormon church and stuff. And their talks, are delivered in such a way that, I mean, it's almost like you fall into a trance of like what they're saying actually is sounding so pure and true. And then if you had anybody real time saying, okay, this is exactly why it's deceptive, you would just be like, holy hell, like that's crazy that like this sounds so truthful. And then you're actually hearing the counter and it's just like, no, this is the actual truth. I don't know. There's some examples on my head, but I'm not going to go into them.
Right. But, have you ever seen Book of Mormon, the play?
No, I still haven't. You want it? Well, I don't know if it's still playing, right? Surely on.
I think. Well, they do their rounds like it's like a live play, right?
Yeah.
So I mean, it's been going on for years, and I saw it I think 2 years ago, and all I could think about was like, dude, Sater's got to see this shit. This is like, I don't know if it was like trauma or like strike a nerve, but I was like, this shit was the funniest fucking thing I've ever seen in my life. It's like the creators of South Park, so it gets pretty like offensive in the best way possible.
Yeah. No, I'm all about that stuff now because
dog, you gotta see it.
No, I definitely could now. There was definitely a time for a few years where like I understood for my own like mental health to just not think about it, even though it was so addicting to like think about, all the trauma from it. But nowadays I'm pretty much over it. I mean, it'll always stay with me, like those like triggers and stuff, but it's so mild these days. But like, yeah,
I can only imagine, man. It's like you look back and you're just like, dude, all these people that I looked up to and respected, like, what, like, they're betraying you. You know what I mean? Like as a kid, like they're just manipulating you, and you're just like, dude, like you obviously knew better, whether you were brainwashed or not. It's like, that's pretty wild, man. Watch Book of Mormon. It'll be good closure.
Yeah, no, it is. I mean, there's because of the internet in general. It's just beautiful to see, and living in a free country where you can actually criticize, ideas that are fucking stupid, without, feeling like you're going to go to jail for it. It's great to see how much like actual real truth is out there now, if you can find it, if you can find good sources and stuff, and just laugh at how silly some of the beliefs you had were. And this goes with anything. It's not even just like religious beliefs, but just ideologies and stuff. And I don't know. It's great having so much information out there, but at the same time, it's also a detriment in a lot of ways because of how much incentive there is to grift online and to lie and to spread misinformation and stuff. It's like the Wild West right now.
We live in a time where it's like you can't even believe videos anymore with like AI, and you're just watching a video and you're just like, okay, does he have 6 fingers or not? Because I can't tell if this is real or not. You know, why is his jaw not turned into a platypus yet? Like, what's going on here?
Let's touch on new skills, like in general. First off, do you think after sailing releases, let's imagine sailing releases and it's just hits every like thing we wanted, it's just perfect,
you know, it's
somehow
awesome.
Somehow it's perfect. I doubt that, but somehow it's perfect. How long do you think it would take to get another skill? And do you think even if the skill was sailing was perfect, do you think people would have an appetite for another one afterward?
Yeah, definitely. I think what would happen is it won't be for, I think the trajectory of like new skills would be they release sailing, they make a fuck ton of content around sailing. There's 100% going to be a raid. There's going to be some like end game PVM, some end game skilling, and they're going to keep like revolving around that. So I think like if we were to start going that route, it would be like 3 years. But then after that, I think when they start releasing skills, they like if say like the lifespan of RuneScape is just like endless and they just keep going and going, I think it would be like an every 1 or 2 year thing, because like they'll get this one out there where like they're gonna have to hit all those marks where it's like you get a raid out of it, you get end game PVM, you get end game skilling, you get people like some good early game stuff to get people into the game, right? And then after that, I think they're just going to start adding things that like add on to it. Like maybe they bring back shamanism, and that might be something that's like not as all encumbering, like where it's like you're going around the world and doing stuff. It's more like shamanism was like a skill, you know, like you're just like, it's like a production skill, right? In a way. I guess it was like production and gathering because they had like that spirit realm and stuff, but it's a bit more just like narrow pathed. And I feel like they'd end up doing more stuff like that. What do you think?
I mean, I would say the timeline, I think, what were you saying, like every 2 years or something?
Yeah, like I think sailing would be a bit longer because they would have to like, you know, pad it up and make sure that everything is where it needs to be and like people are like super happy with it. Because like if it fucks up and they're like, hey, new skill, everyone's gonna be like, dog, no, please, for the love of God, please.
No, I mean, if I would predict, and I'm always off on predictions, but not always, but with sailing, I was predicting 2027, and if it actually does drop in 2025, that's I was way off. I think we would probably get a new skill if sailing just is they just knock it out of the park in 2030. I could imagine a new skill dropping. So at least 5 years, because I don't even think they would pull another skill for 3 years.
Right.
And then at that point, they'd have to get it in development. And
this is something I wanted to talk about because I knew you were gonna ask this, and I was like, I feel like there's gonna be a point, and I hate bloat in games. So like a lot of the games that I've played since like, you know, 2017, you know, you take breaks from them and you come back, and the game that you once played is like got all this shit in it, and you're just like, there's way too much now, right?
Yep.
I think RuneScape's done a really good job at having a lot of stuff, but not bloating it, because there's all these avenues and side grays, and it's like you can kind of choose your own path and like go back on things. Like they've done a really good job with that. I think if they end up going a route where it's 2040 and we have like 4 new skills, this is gonna be a crazy hot take. I think they should combine some old skills.
Whoa.
I think that should be a discussion, because if they're going to be making these awesome skills, fletching's going to feel like fucking shit. Fire making's going to feel like shit. You know what I mean? I think there might need to be a point, and this might be some like crazy like RS3 minded stuff, but like, and obviously it's going to high scores and total levels and all this and that. But like we all agree that stuff like fletching and like it just like doesn't need to be its own skill, you know? What do you think about that?
Interesting. I mean, I haven't really. I would need to hear some good arguments for why not. I mean, don't get me wrong. I could definitely see, like, when they were proposing warding, that could have easily fallen in line with crafting. Like, it just could have.
Yeah. And if you pulled fletching right now, people would be like, "No, dude, just put that in crafting."
Or put it in wood cutting, even.
Yeah, yeah,
You're
exactly.
literally cutting fucking wood. I mean, so, and fire making go. So it's just, you can kind of pick and choose, obviously, and but I don't think it's actually necessary. In fact, I think it would be very jarring and almost like it leaves a bad taste in people's mouths. Because I mean, we can kind of imagine, oh, this is like 15 years down the line, like everybody's mindset will be different. But I'm like, dude, if you were to do something like that right now, it would be an uproar. Even the thought of like raising the skills to like 120s or something is like so off limits right now. And I know that's not the same thing you're proposing at all, but like little things like that is just scary. Like we want a foundation that feels very like authentic to old school, how it's been. And I think once you start going down the route of combining stuff, it's just going to feel off. And I don't even find it very necessary. Like, do you have any like good reasons why this would be good other than just consolidating things for the sake of it?
No, I just wanted to wake people up with a bad take. I did think about it though. Yeah. I mean, like, it is something people always talk about where they're just like, this doesn't need to be its own skill.
Yeah.
And then I don't know. I was just like, that's a consideration I've genuinely had. Yeah. I don't think they should necessarily do it, but I was like, along this train of thought, I was like, oh, I'll bring it up. Fuck it.
I mean, what I like that they've done. Okay, so fire making is definitely so. Fletching genuinely actually makes sense as a skill. It's like the equivalent of like mining to smithing. I mean, people can argue all they want that smithing isn't even a good skill because all you're doing is just making shit and there's no real reward to it. But the whole purpose of that skill is to refine something that you gathered, refine it, and then that can turn into money for you. And the same thing with fletching. You're refining logs, turning it into fletchings for value for archers and other things. And there's just value in that. But for fire making, it's like, dude, we gotta find different avenues to like make this actually beneficial. I like what they've done with the eternal flames in places where it's dark. Those. It's so good. And it actually makes sense that you need like a fire making level for these. And like, I like that. There's got to be other avenues though where fire making genuinely feels like a useful thing. I had even suggested this would actually end up being a nerf in a way, kind of, but I always thought it would be interesting to allow fire making to actually start ranges. So when you go into like, Lumbridge Castle to go cook on the range there, you actually would need to light it with a tinderbox. Maybe you don't need logs or anything, but depending on your fire making level, all these ranges are fucking jank and they're crappy. But depending on your fire level, that's actually gonna benefit your cooking success or burn rate. It's gonna lower it. So
okay.
So it's just it's just like a direct thing, and it wouldn't even have to be necessarily it's gonna take ticks to like light this thing. It's just you have to go over there. You cook just as normally as you would, but depending on your fire making level is actually going to enhance or like decrease your chance of like burn, basically.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. I'm like, I feel like you shouldn't like be locked out of cooking on it without a fire making level, but it's like it's always on. But if you have like 35 fire making for like the low end ranges or something, you can like increase your cooking chance. If you have like 80 fire making, it increases even more because you're like so good at controlling that flame. You're saucing it up on the sticks.
Yeah, just something that has a little bit extra oomph to it. This is the same thing I was kind of proposing in a few episodes back. And this is something I probably touched on years back as well, is like agility having an effect in combat. So the higher agility level you have, just a trickle of extra dodge chance. So it's not just defense. You're not just having defense, but if your dude was a pure with 99 agility, you actually have a significant chance of dodging Grardor's attack and just taking a 0. So it's not like, okay, you are now a sitting fucking duck. It's just, and again, it wouldn't have to be extreme at all. It's just a trickle of extra chance of dodging stuff from monsters.
Would you have that increased total level, or sorry, combat level?
Ooh, that would be interesting. That would be
Because
really
because
interesting.
as someone that plays on a pure and frequently gets dumped on for having no defense, it would be really nice to have agility, but with like PKing and with just like, even if you're making like an Iron Man pure, it's like having that low combat level is kind of like the point, right? It's about balancing that. And even with like the new prayers coming out with being like 60, what are the new prayers, like 65 you need or something for the new Royal Titans prayer?
Something like
I'm
that.
seeing a lot of pures like increase their combat level to use that, but now they're a lot closer to like med levels, so they're getting shit on by med levels just to get those prayers,
No, I think you're right. I think it would be kind of like prayer, where you are, depending on how much they tune it. I mean, they could just make it very minimal.
It'd be a min-max for sure. There'd be a min-max. People would be like 37 or like 65 agility is like a good, you dodge some, but you don't crank your combat level up too much. It's interesting.
Yeah, if something like, because I think prayer, if you get 99 prayer, you're like 15 combat, so you get like 12 combat levels from that. Shooting up to 99. In my vision, I would see agility maybe pumping you up like 5 combat levels total all the way to 99. So it's like every like 20 levels or so you get a combat. And again, this could all just be like, it could be 2. It could it could be the little counter, because like when you're actually calculating the combat level of you is like this decimal places. It could just simply be like 2 combat levels total. Like every level you get is only 0.2 of like or 0.02, I mean, of a combat level or something so minimal. But I don't know. I think it's kind of an interesting take. It would be weird though, is to not be combat level 126, which would be another uproar. I don't think people would like that.
What did RS3 go to with summoning? Was it like 130? Yeah. It's so nasty. All the people with like tattoos on it, especially with like sailing coming out. The people with like 2277 tattoos.
Oh yeah, they get fucked. But the thing is, I mean, if shamanism came out, I was almost imagining shamanism would have boosted your combat level in some way. If you're all of a sudden being able to implement these like auras and these random ass upgrades and enhancements to stuff, like that feels like, I don't know.
Did it involve auras? From what I remember, I thought it was just like augmentations that you would make.
Yeah, but even then,
I could be wrong.
If you're somehow powering extra combat, I feel like that alone should be an appropriate response to increase your combat level. Like, just imagine you had 99 shamanism and very low stat, like on a pure, let's say. Like, really? So now you can enhance your stuff. Isn't that kind of an unfair advantage? Is it just like now for any combat you need to have 99 shamanism
it's like
to do anything?
required. Yeah.
So if that almost feels like you would increase your, but I think actually people would be on board with that to boost your combat. It would just be weird if it was agility, because for the longest time that's never done anything. So,
and there's already like things locked behind agility. Yeah. So it's like if you're making a restricted account,
exactly.
Yeah, you made the restriction. Yeah. But it's like, for like a Rev Cave pure, like there's shortcuts that you need like 85, and like maybe you don't want that, and then you just get cucked because some bot from Venezuela can hop that shortcut and you can't. But I do like that idea, and I think another counter argument though towards that is like that technically is like low effort, like it's just another RNG thing, I guess, which is interesting. Because it's just like it just happens. Like if you were to like increase your agility and you dodge the attack, it's kind of just like random. But I do like that idea. Like I fuck with it.
Yeah.
I think it makes sense.
Interesting.
Yeah, because then you can make like agility pures and be like, yeah, like I don't have very good prayer, or I don't have as high strength as I wanted to, but like you're also not going to be hitting me as much. So that's like an interesting take. I like that.
Yeah, it would be kind of interesting. Again, it's not like I'm advocating for this. It's just spitballing ideas, but yeah.
Yeah, you're the one that's more under fire than me, but I'll agree with it.
I always have to like really back off of things if it's
Yeah.
just like I have to make it very clear if this is spitballing. Even people
Yeah.
have gotten annoyed with me saying spitballing. They're like, stop spitballing, then.
Of
I'm gonna keep spitballing.
course.
So let's talk a little bit about. I mean, I have to ask about this. I mean, we had talked in our DMs about you've done a little bit of psychedelics, and
Yeah, man.
it's been a minute since I've talked with a guest about it. I definitely had
I
my.
know. I miss it.
See, you're one of the few, or at least one of the maybe the many that actually just never said anything, because all I got during that phase of taking a lot of mushrooms was basically like just people like, all right, shut up about your trips, you're this like fake enlightened type, just move on, like, okay, like, god damn it, stop talking about the mushroom stuff, stop talking about your guests with it. But I genuinely, even after a horrible trip that led me to just stop it entirely, I haven't touched mushrooms in almost 2 years, it still fascinates me. Like, I'm still absolutely fascinated by just psychedelics in general and the benefit they can bring, because I still have seen lasting benefits from some of my trips that have just carried on forward in my life in a lot of positive ways. But again, I always have to add the caveat that there is some serious downsides to using these things if you're have shaky mental health.
Mm-hmm.
Or
Yeah.
even if not, even if your mental health's good, you could still have a horrible trip. I mean, there's just
100%. I've had some terrifying trips where I'm just like, yo, I gotta leave this body right now, dude. This is crazy. I remember, so not shrooms, but the first time I did acid, I remember I was at my cousin's place in Halifax, if you know where that is. It's like on the coast, the east coast of Canada. And he was just like, he's super into it. He's like, hey, yeah, let's just do some, take a little bit, you'll be fine. I was like, yeah, cool, man, cool. We'll, like, summer, we'll go outside, play in the flowers, frolic around. I don't know. So I take some, and then it immediately starts like torrential downpouring outside. And we're in this dude's like his apartment, and it's like he's in university at the time, so it's like a kind of nasty university, small apartment, nasty couch. His roommates are all over the place. And I'm okay. I'm super into horror movies. It's kind of like all I watch. But we're both really into it. And he's like, yo, you wanna watch A Quiet Place? And I'm like, really? Like right now? And he's just like, yeah, man, let's do it. And he put it on, and I'm like chilling. I'm on the couch. I feel, you feel it bubbling up a little bit.
Yep.
And you're just like, oh, okay, yeah, cool, cool, cool. And then it was just like, it's just like a moment where your face just goes like, boom. Yep. And I was just like mid tense scene. And I was just like laying on this couch being like, this is fucked. I like went into the bathroom and my face was like melting. And I'm like looking at myself. I'm like, you got this, dude. You go back out there and you watch that movie,
Yeah.
And then it got to a point where I was just like, dude, I need to go outside. I can't be inside watching this shit right now. So Halifax is on the ocean. And we went outside in the torrential downpours, like oceanside torrential downpours, high on acid, just so I could like be outside. And we're just walking around like two psychopaths. It's just pissing rain, and people are like running inside, and we're just like, yeah, cool, man. Yeah, we're just having a conversation. And I just remember after that, I was like, I've done shrooms before, and I'm like, this acid thing is a little spicy. And it like lasts all day too. You're just like, it's like 12 at night, and you're just like, I'm still toasted right now.
So now let me ask about more of the like spiritual side of things, because there's definitely like the more recreational, doing it with people and stuff. And then there's the other side that at least I like preferred, because I had done like a couple trips with like people, and every time I was like, I hate this. Like I just want to be alone. Like I can't deal with other people's energy, because it's
tough.
It's so like, if you are not in the most positive mood and going to be uplifting and not negative in any way, and it just, if it's not everything of that, it's just going to be a negative experience for me. So a lot of my experiences were just like alone and working on myself in ways like I would think about things that I wanted to like, just know or fix or do something. And then that would lead to like the breakthroughs.
That's interesting because I personally, I never did it out of like a spiritual, um, like lens.
Mm.
Like there was a few times where it would be like I would go camping and I would be like just with my partner or like with some buddies, and you're out in the woods, you have nothing there, and you throw some shrooms in, and you just go out during sunset in the middle of the lake in a canoe by yourself, and you're just like looking at the sky, and you're just like, this is it, man. And you just
Yep.
like you reflect on everything, like the good and the bad, and you're just like, it's interesting because you have such like a good outlook on things. It's like all of your demons kind of go away, where
Hmm.
you can look back on stuff that you've done in your past and like how you are as a person now, and you can just kind of like accept it. I found like it's just like very like you want to come out a better person, and it's like you can have those kind of discussions with yourself when you're in that state and make those changes. And it lasts too because it's not like getting drunk where you just kind of forget everything. Like you remember all that. You don't have like this like memory loss of anything. Like you have those
You
conversations
feel
with
even
yourself, and
more
it's
sober than sober in a
yeah,
lot of
yeah, it's
those. Yeah.
sobering.
Yeah.
You have like this like heightened sense of uh awareness, and you just can make those changes, which is really cool. Like while like I said, I haven't done it with the purpose of being spiritual, I've definitely had those moments. So
Mm.
hearing you talk about it, I always was interested. Like whenever I did it, it was always like very mild. Like the way I would do it is like I could take a decent amount, and then I kind of like eat it all day. When you did it, did you like heroic dose that shit? Like were you just like handful of shrooms and be like, let's go to Pluto?
I mean, I just remember the first time I did it, it was 5 grams, and it was just like
Oh,
the most beautiful, but then it ended up being like
brother.
one of the most terrifying. But I was so fascinated by the whole experience of like even just feeling like I was in purgatory for a bit. I had done maybe like 2 or 3 more heroic doses that were actually the last one I had done was just enough to be like, okay, it's not even worth doing this anymore because it's just like everything just gets way too bizarre and just really uncomfortable in a lot of ways. There was still some like
Mhm.
cool things you'd feel and this kind of like sense of like kind of being one with the universe and everything else. And you'd have these nice moments, but then you'd have these like really just like, what the fuck is happening? And it was just not worth it. Um,
What do you mean by
and
that? What do you mean like what the fuck is happening moments? Because like you say that, but is it
yeah.
like you're digging deep, or is it like you're just like nauseous? Like is it a physical? Is it an emotional thing? Like what is that experience like for you?
So I'll explain so the first trip I did, I think I've detailed it through I was on a Based After Dark episode years back. I was kind of explaining it, but my brother and I had done like 5 grams each, and it was just the most like insane experience ever because keep in mind, like I had never this is my first like psychedelic experience, and all I knew was like we got some mushrooms, and I didn't want to like squander it. Like I didn't want to like just take a little bit and have it do nothing and then have to take a little bit more and have it do nothing. I was just
Oh,
like, okay, we
same,
only we
dude.
only we only have this little bit. Like, let's just make it work. Like let's have this actually be an experience. And I just didn't. I had no. I mean, I had done research. I had like looked up YouTube videos of people's experience with it and stuff. And I was so excited about it. And I was going into it kind of with a spiritual lens, even at that point before I'd even done it. And I just remember feeling things I had just never experienced. I mean, one of the things that was so fascinating was like to this day, it's just bizarre how I felt in the moment. But I remember grabbing my brother's arm at one point in the early, maybe like the first hour and a half of the trip or something. I was just like, dude, like I was talking to him. This is before things went horribly south later, but like I was grabbing his arms and we were like looking at each other, and I felt like our souls or whatever that is like intertwine in a way. Like it was the most like crazy sensation I had ever felt touching another person's skin. Like it was like we connected in a very like profound way that I just I can't even explain. There's just a lingering tiny little trace of it now that I can remember and recall. But at the moment, it was just absolutely surreal. And But beyond that, when I had done a heroic dose, like, I don't know, probably like 2 months after, it was by myself. And when you were asking, you know, like, what does it feel like? Is the nausea? I mean, I had done like a lemon tech version of it where it's just like, you know, you crush the mushrooms up and you have it soak in like lemon juice, basically.
Oh, I've never heard of that. That's smart.
And then you take it and it just hits you really quickly and it's all at once. And I basically was in this weird, I don't know how to describe it, but just this weird fucking like loopy land for a little bit where it was just so awful. It wasn't like scary. It was just like, I hate being here. Like, I hate feeling this way of like this kind of discomfort. You feel tense. And on top of that, you feel like you're kind of going crazy a little bit. And you're just waiting for it to kind of pass in a way. And that was with these heroic doses. And then, but one of the things I'd always feel, and again, I'd only done it like maybe 3 times beyond the first time, if that's considered a heroic dose, 5 grams. But I would always feel like eventually like this presence of like Mother Nature, like just being there for me and like everything is going to be okay. Basically, that was always the message I would get at some point. I would go through like some really scary shit kind of, but there would be this lasting impression of like everything is going to be okay. Like life is a mystery and you're on this ride and everything is already like set in stone in a way, like basically. And that's actually kind of how I've become like more of a like pretty like full on determinist at this point. I'm like, I just totally believe in determinism. I don't think we have free will at all. And a lot of that was because of these like firsthand experiences of like knowing that everybody's on their own journey. And this has already been like not like predestined exactly, but like we still make decisions in a way, but ultimately it's almost, I don't know if you've heard of like the block universe.
No.
Like that just whole idea.
I've definitely heard you talk about it before, but I can't recall.
Yeah. It's a theory like in physics of like there being a block universe where everything that like is going to happen has kind of already happened. If you could see it from like a God's eye lens of like, just, you know, we feel like the future hasn't come yet, but ultimately everything has already happened in a way. And we're just in this, yeah, we're just in this like moment in time and we're just like kind of
being like guided along. Yeah.
Yeah. And that was always the really cool feeling I would get. And then the very last trip I had was just none of that. It was just all fucking dark. It was just dark and it was hellish and it genuinely scared me so bad. It like led me to like mild psychosis for months afterward. Yeah, it was a nightmare. And so again, like as much as like I love thinking about how much it's benefited me in so many ways. And this is the crazy thing. Like it feels like nothing good happened from that really bad trip. But ultimately, I look at it now 2 years later, and a lot of positives came from it. First off, I ended up living my fucking life like sober, which has been really good for me. So in a way, I was kind of addicted to the highs of like tripping, you know? I just loved it so much. And I'd always have these like really profound experiences. And this was like a wake up call to like, okay, like you're not progressing in your life doing this. So it was almost like, in a way, the mushrooms were helping me to like, not only stop doing mushrooms, but also I've completely cut weed out of my life, which was also a problem. Like I wanted to stop weed, but I couldn't because I was like so addicted to it. I just loved the ritual of it. I loved fucking just hitting a pen at night, you know?
Well, man, the pens, dude, they're too easy.
They were so
too
good.
easy.
And then the only way I would have been able to stop genuinely is like basically through a psychotic experience where like now vaping weed just literally gives me like flashbacks basically. And
yeah, that sensation of having the almost like it's like a layer over your own face where your inhibitions are kind of just like altered. And
yeah,
I know what you mean.
So just to like wrap things up, like ultimately I think the mushrooms have your back in a way, but it's not going to be in the way you want. Like,
right. It's like it's not all like daisies. It's like,
yeah.
You know,
like,
you need this right now, but you're not going to like it. It's like tough love, you know?
Exactly. And I had explained this on, I think, the Ari slash, like the last Ari slash episode I had done with him. It was like post this hell trip, basically.
I remember that moment, dude. I remember you going through that, and there's like you came out like pretty, good after that. Like I feel like things changed with you after you went through that. Because I remember you talking about it a lot, and it's just like you got a lot more positive after too. So
I'm glad that kind of was perceived that way. I was going through some dark shit for like several months after all that, but I just kind of bottled it up. I was like, there's no reason to share what I'm going through internally. But
Mama builds character, dude.
Yeah, no, it was good. And it also helped me to realize, like, because again, like on that Ari slash episode, I'd kind of talked about a lot of the themes from that like really bad trip I had that finished everything off was like it was very Mormon themed. Like it was like all the fear that I had just exposed to me, like indoctrinated into me, drilled into me as a child. Like all of
catharsis.
Oh, it was just like all of that built up, drilled in fear that was just constantly drilled into me. And I took it seriously. Like I genuinely believed it had all like come out during that trip. And it was frightening. And so that has helped me as well. As much as it's kind of a sensitive topic culturally to like talk bad about religion, I'm just so against Mormonism. Like it's evil. Like I genuinely find it to be like actually evil. It's not even just like, oh, this is silly. It's like, no, if you take this seriously, if you become fundamentalist with this idea, this ends up leading to like really bad harm for people. And it's an actual like, it's just a bad thing to be spreading. It's just a bad idea, and it's just not healthy in any way. And even though you can see it in the lens of like, oh, they do good things, or oh, like look, the people are happy, or like they're perceived as good people. It's like I'm not judging anybody. I'm judging the idea of Mormonism. And when you really take it to its actual extent of what they're actually teaching, it's like the foundation of it is evil. And like that was one thing like I came away from it.
Yeah, I feel you. I don't think you're gonna be like striking any nerves saying that, because like a lot of things, like I mean, I grew up Catholic, and I don't practice Catholicism, but like I see a lot of that shit, and I'm like, it can be either really fucking toxic, where you're just like homophobic, and you're kind of a big piece of shit. But then like I have a lot of friends that are practicing Catholics, and they're just like so chill about it. Like it's not something they push on you, and they're just like, yep, I just go to church. I'm like, cool, man, awesome. So it's like, I don't know enough about Mormonism to understand like the foundations, but if the foundations are evil, then it's kind of like, I don't know. I don't really have a take to say on it, but I validate you.
Yeah, it's fascinating because people just practice religion so differently. I mean, I have friends as well that have stayed Mormon, and it's like they don't even quite understand what they believe. I mean, my brother, my younger brother's still in the Mormon church, and like I'll have conversations with him because I'm pretty open about it, and he's willing to have these conversations. And when I actually start picking at things, like, so what about this? Like they're saying this is true. He doesn't even have a stance on it. It's almost like the way
ignorance is bliss, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's the ignorance is bliss, but it's also like it's just people practice religion in such a blanket way where, oh, this is like what people do. I'm going to get community from it. I don't actually know what's actually being taught, nor do I care, nor is it really being pushed on me. So it's good enough for me. I'm not going to dive deep into the actual like foundations of this and what the crimes that were committed by this guy that founded this whole thing, or whatever else, because I feel good about it, and I also like the idea of heaven, and I like the idea of this kind of stuff. So you can take some of the good stuff pretty easily. So I don't like blame anybody necessarily, or I don't think everybody had my experience and they're just staying in it because of being brainwashed or anything. It's just like people just perceive it differently. So I'm never like offended by people practicing religion. I just like, there's nothing against people. It's just like ideas themselves can be very destructive if taken seriously.
Exactly.
Yeah. So let me ask this, because, on a lighter note with psychedelics, like one of the things that was really cool for me was finally understanding a mind muscle connection. And
Okay.
that actually helped me to understand like muscle building in a weird way, or like actually not even the muscle building necessarily, but like the tearing of the muscle fibers in a way, like in a healthy way. And
Yeah.
because I would go on runs like on mushrooms, years back, and it was like the most amazing feeling doing vigorous exercise under this influence. It was just so
Okay.
cool. I could feel my muscle fibers everywhere in my body working, and it felt perfect and it felt fluid. And I would just, doing push-ups felt amazing. I could feel everything going on. And then that ended up leading me to really appreciating like daily exercise and daily like strength training. So it sounds like you've always had this sort of like fitness life sort of balance with things. And I want to ask if psychedelics ever like promoted any of that or like helped you to see extra value in it.
I wouldn't really say so. Honestly, it was mostly recreational for me. I also was more into fitness before I ever did do psychedelics, but I will say every time I would go out camping, and like when I go camping, I don't do like car camping, like I go out into the
Yeah.
woods, like on a canoe, and it's like every time we do shrooms, we go like on a big paddle or you go on like a big hike, and it's just like it feels so
Oh yeah.
good to move your body, especially in nature, dude, where you're like you're not walking on like a flat surface and you're just roughing it, like shit's hitting your face. You don't care about the bugs around you, but it's like I will say like the one thing I do like doing though on shrooms, and I know you kind of have some sort of a background because I think you used to make music, but like playing
Yeah.
music on mushrooms is
Oh.
crazy, dude. That is
Oh yeah.
like you lose 5 hours of your life doing that, you know? Like you pick something up and start playing, and it just like you just send it. Because
Dude,
like you used to, I know you were like big into like your in choir, but didn't you also like kind of produce stuff as well?
yeah. I would
Did
make
you ever do
make
anything like
beats.
that?
Yeah, I would make beats in high school.
But did you
Never.
do that like while you were on mushrooms?
No, I've never done that, but this is a completely other side. This is the thing I miss most about mushrooms. Genuinely, is the music side, because I would always listen to music.
100%, man.
And
That's where it's
dude,
at.
I would get complete synesthesia with everything. Music turned into vision. I was seeing music, and so what's so fascinating. I actually want to get your take on this. Is like I can almost tell now when I listen to music who's had a psychedelic influence, because like
Oh,
you
100%.
can make music, like if you just go to school, you learn music theory. Oh, I made a little tune. But I'm pretty sure the best artists are those that have had a psychedelic influence, where it's like, okay, now I have a full on like understanding of music and like the power in it, and like
Well, because you appreciate different things, right? It's like when you're on mushrooms and I don't know if you notice this, but like, say, like, there's a song playing, it's going through a scale. It's kind of like what you expect. Like, there's almost some music that you're like, I know what note's gonna come next. I
mhm,
know like how this bar is gonna wrap up, right? Like it's gonna do this thing and then it's gonna go back into the verse. But when there's like a little earworm where they do something a little different and it doesn't follow a scale and they're just like, let me just fucking go and just throw
yeah.
that in there, and you're just like, you don't just like do that by like playing music. You're just like, there's something that happened there where you're just like, it didn't make sense. And it's not like it was planned, but like you knew what you were doing.
Yep. So what
100%.
do you play though? Like it sounds like this is one thing you had noted, you're in a band as well.
Yeah, I play in a hardcore punk band
Oh
called
hell
Temper
yeah.
Tantrum. Yeah, man. I play guitar. I'm staring at three of mine right now. They're on my wall. I've played probably since I was like 10. I'm 30 now. So I've been playing for a long time. I was always like a bedroom guitarist. I would just like, I had my amp, I had my guitars, put my headphones in so my mom doesn't, you know, get mad at me, or my neighbors, whatever point of life I was in. But I recently got into this band, and it's something that I kind of wanted to talk about because I find there's a lot of people that kind of are the same position as me, where I was like, yeah, man, like joining a band would be so cool, but like, I'm obviously not going to do that. Like, I'm 30 now. Like, I've been playing in my room, but I've never played live, right? I've maybe done some like open mics and stuff like that, or played in front of friends, but like nothing like that where you're playing a show and like people are paying to see you.
Mm-hmm.
But one of my buddies came up to me. He's like, "Yo, like I know you play. Like, do you want to play in our band?" And like hardcore punk is like what I listen to mostly, like metal, hardcore punk, all that kind of shit. And I started playing in this band, and it's just like it's different, dude. It's like playing music for people in a room where it's just you know, and you're ripping, and it's like it's the sickest thing in the world. So it's like I want to let people know that like if you're just like someone that dicks around, like you produce in your room, or like you want to like do a set, like a DJ set, or you want to do that open mic, like it's gonna be the scariest fucking thing you ever do, but do it because it's awesome. It's one of the coolest experiences I've ever done musically, at least. And it's like being in a band too is just awesome, man. You just hang out with a couple people, make some music, drink some beers, you know, it's just a vibe.
Let me ask about this though, because I feel like performing music that you feel like you've totally mastered, you know, alone if you're in your room or whatnot, is a different beast entirely. Like the performance anxiety can get to people. Has that ever gotten to you?
Playing
where like you just can't perform, like all of a sudden you're getting like stuck. Yeah, like you just can't play properly.
So I've had a couple shows. The first couple of shows I was good because I was like nervous, you know. But as I got more comfortable, I'm like, yeah, I can have 2 to 10 beers before this. I'm fine, you know.
Oh, no.
So I'll get on stage, I'll be fucking just like going. I'll be like, oh shit, I'm not playing the right thing, and I'm just like, you know, no one knows though. That's the thing.
Okay,
you always get worried about that. So I don't get performance anxiety, but I'll mess up and I'll look over at my bassist and he'll be like, "What?" I'm like, "I don't know, man. Just go with it."
That's hilarious.
But yeah, it's a good time, and it's like the nature of the music. It's not very like you can mess up and no one cares because everyone's just like hitting each other anyways.
And people expect live music to not be perfect anyway. In fact, they're just there for the vibe.
Happy mistake, man. But I will say though, the hardest thing was like playing with a band. And like making music with a band, because when you make your own music, you're like, yeah, that sounds sick. And then you'll say like, hey, here's this riff, or I wrote this song, and you give it to the band, and one guy is like, okay, yeah, cool, let's do this though. And in your head, you're just like, fuck you, dude. But you're just like, no, yeah, I guess, you know, that's good. Like I'll take your word for it, because you're obviously like with like having takes or like having opinions, like you're very just like it's hard to stray away from that.
Yeah.
But playing with a band and like having different opinions or just being like, yo, no, that's too much. And you're just like, but that's my baby. I just wrote that whole thing and you're tearing it apart. But then it ends up being awesome. That's definitely been something that's, you know, a challenge.
Mm-hmm.
But it's cool, man. I'd recommend anyone do it.
That's awesome. Like I'm actually I want to get back into music. There's just so much I think there's so much to learn as well with me, because when you're playing an instrument, there's that, but when you're on like a software or like if you're trying to pick it up as an adult where you don't have enough time, it's tough. It's really tough. I mean, I bought Ableton Live, like the full thing, like 4 or 5 years ago. And I touched it for, you know, it was like a few weeks. I just kind of messing around. I'm like, dude, this is so daunting, and I don't even know where to start. Like, it was just a lot, and so I kind of just like resisted. And I also, you know, had to stream and start getting on the YouTube game and everything like that. But
it's what you do, man. You fuck around a bit, you get your basics down, and then you do a DJ stream.
Ooh, that would be dope. But yeah, and I also don't even know what I'd want to make. I feel like my vibe would be more like some progressive like house in a way, like it's just that kind of vibe. But again, like this is gonna be me actually getting into it at some point, because I still want to, but you know, and I finally took the deep dive to get the program and to start getting into it, and I was like, dude, this is so much. Like I need to take some like genuine courses on this online, and there's like some paid courses that are pretty beneficial. I've seen like reviews on it, and I'm just like, I don't have the time or money to be forking out all this energy into here. A good way to learn something like that, and you can take this advice, you can say like that's stupid, whatever, but if you hop on that software and you're like looking up all these tutorials and you're just like, I want to learn how to do this, it's like it's overwhelming, right? Like it's got so much shit. Pick a song that relatively is easy and just remake it. Yeah, just remake that song. You know what I mean? Like just find like that's the you got some pretty cool shit
on your stream. Like I really like the music you play on your stream, and what you can do is like just drums, throw like a sample on top of it. It doesn't even have to be something that you write. Just throw a sample on and be like, hey, like that's the structure. And then you build off that. And then you can kind of like start doing your own thing and like, remixing samples to make it like sound like something else. But it's like you gotta start like super bare bones. And I find like it's like I didn't start just writing music. Like I learned 300 songs. And then I was like, okay, like I kind of get how music writing works now because I've played these songs. It's kind of the same idea for that, right? You gotta like just like pick like fucking Levels by Avicii and just remake that.
Yeah, no, that's
Something
really
so
it.
generic.
It's really it. You just got to build off of things, and then when you start getting more comfortable, you can starting create your own foundations on stuff. I was going down the route of just trying to create a foundation from scratch, and I was like, what the fuck am I doing?
Yeah, because you listen, but it's like making it or playing it is like such a different thing.
Yeah, and it's also different not actually playing an instrument. So everything, it's not like I could just plug in a guitar and just start riffing away because I've learned it, and then just put that into the editor, and then kind of go off there. It's like no, I'm just like trying to make music through this MIDI track. Like this is awful.
Man, if you ever need samples, hit me up.
Yeah, no,
I can do some of that bluesy jazz, like Kerrang and bang stuff too. So
if I get into it one day, I mean, I'll definitely hit you up. I mean, it's definitely still one of those passions I have that just feels out of reach for some reason.
Yeah, you'll know when, right?
Yeah.
It's like I even go through bouts of like I play in this band, and sometimes I'll go like 2 weeks. We won't go like 2 weeks without practicing, and I won't even touch my guitar in between that. Like when I was doing the Infernal, like I didn't play guitar, but it's like I didn't fucking touch that. Are you kidding me? I had work to do. But it's like anything, right? Like you burn out of things and then you just pick it up. Like sometimes I'll play guitar like every single day for a month, and sometimes I won't touch it for 3 months unless I'm like at practice or playing a show, right? It's just you'll know when you want to, and it'll just like hit you. You'll hear one song and you'll be doing nothing that day, and you'll be like, fuck yeah, I'm motivated. Or you're inspired.
So last thing I want to touch on with you before we wrap things up is like your fitness lifestyle. I mean, are you still, it sounds like you were into it, earlier on and stuff. So how is that for you? Do you have a routine with it? Do you try to, progressively overload and build a good physique? Like where are you at with fitness, or is it just health in general?
So it started like I'm definitely in the more health. Like I try to have variation in what I do. It's a little harder. I live in, Canada, so like our winters fucking suck. But I try to like when it's summer, like, I'll go to the gym twice a week. I'll go on like one run a week. I'll ride my bike once a week. I'll go play tennis once a week. Like I think having like a variation of things because yeah, man, like you can like get jacked and like progressively overload, but it's like that's so uniplanar and it's like it doesn't really do anything for you. If anything, it just damages you more than anything because you're just like this plank of wood that can't move. So that's where I'm kind of at right now. But before I was I competed in weightlifting, both powerlifting and like Olympic weightlifting. So I was putting up some like big numbers, and that's all I knew and all I did. And that's kind of what led me to this point where now I'm just like, more health driven and just like I'm still working out. Like I go like 3-4 days a week and I'm just trying to do different things. But I was I was competitive power lifter, stronger than automelogy,
Dude, automelogy is trying.
No, he's a little guy though, man. I'm heavier than him. So
I believe it. It sounds like you've been working out for way longer. Automelogy was small. If you've seen his before and after pictures, I mean, that dude was one of the scrawniest, like OSRS players, and his transformation though over the course of several years was pretty damn impressive for himself.
100%. Oh yeah.
Do you follow Fat Clouds at all?
I don't follow him. I know who he is.
Have you seen pictures of him?
I know he's like pretty skinny now.
He is,
right?
Yeah, I mean, skinny is not even the right word for. I mean, he lost a ton of weight, easily over 100 pounds. Probably, probably even guess like 120 pounds or something. But he's also he's been going to the gym and stuff. So when you see him flex, like he's actually got a pretty muscular physique right now.
Oh, he's juicing. Nice.
Oh yeah. No, he's looking really damn good. And the craziest thing is it literally feels like yesterday for me. It's been like 3 years or something. He was big. Like, he was just unhealthy, just sitting at his computer all day, eating junk, vaping all the time. Like, it's night and day when you see him now. It is unbelievable. And like, those transformations are so fucking cool to see. Like, I get so hyped about it.
Yeah, man. Good for him. That's just straight up consistency right there, eh?
Yeah. Like, and it's beyond that. I mean, imagine your life, the first 27 years of your life, let's say, was just being super, super obese and like never learning how to exercise properly, and then making a transformation with all the bad habits that you had to break. Like, that's what I find so impressive about it.
Yeah, good for him. It's tough, man. It's tough. Like, the thing is like, you don't need to do anything crazy. You don't need to do a million things. You just need to do it. Like, consistently. And it's kind of like the same thing with like what I was talking about with RuneScape. It's like, if you send the hardest possible thing right away, like, you're probably going to burn out unless like that's your mindset. But it's like, if you just do like the bare minimum a lot, you'll make way more progress because it'll be attainable and you can add on it. And that's probably what he did, man. He probably just like started small and started really liking it and liking how he felt and just kept going. And once that happens, it's like, you don't want to stop.
Yeah.
Because you just feel so good. You're like, why would I stop doing this? Right.
Yeah.
And it's like, I think that's really important for just like anyone, man. It's like, thank God we have mobile. Go for a walk. Go on mobile. Just like, go outside, please. I beg of you, people. Holy hell. Yes. Yeah. Every time I'm at the gym, it's like, I literally will have stars going on my phone in between sets.
I thought you were saying stars like above your head, like you're about to pass out. I'm like, oh, that's not good.
Not too sometimes. It depends what I'm doing, but that too. I've definitely passed out of the gym before when I was powerlifting. It's happened.
Oh God.
Yeah, good times.
Well, Napes, I really appreciate you coming on today. This was a phenomenal conversation. It was great.
Thanks,
great
man.
Getting to meet you as well. I mean, this is one of the best experiences of the cast, in my opinion, over 4 years of doing it, is just meeting new people. I mean, we've never talked before, and this felt like we have been friends for a while. This is what it feels like. So this is great, man. And I'm honestly like looking forward to seeing how your UIM progresses. Please don't wipe. Don't be like one of those guys. And if you do,
knock on wood, man. Don't say that shit.
I'll be expecting a hardcore. Maybe if Bronzeman mode's out by then, you can jump on that train.
Yeah.
But yeah,
man. Thank you so much for having me. I know as just like a random player in the community, I wasn't really expecting it, but I appreciate you getting back to me and letting me just like shoot the shit with you. I just love talking about this game. So giving me the platform and just like adding to what you do, because I listen to all your stuff too. It's cool for me. So I appreciate that.
Yeah. Much love, man. I'm going to do you have any links you want me to throw down in the description?
I'll throw down like the clan. I don't really do much in terms of like content creation. I don't have Twitter, so I'll throw the clan in there. Everyone's welcome. It's a chill spot. It's literally called AFK, so don't feel obligated to speak in it. If you just want somewhere for your this guy reached runecrafting level 50, or you just gotta die from Guardians of the Rift, and you want people to see it, like that's a good place for it. So come on through. The clan's AFK. I'll have your
RSN down there too. So if your private's on, people, if they're listening, they can maybe give you an ad or something and reach out to you.
Yeah, it's always on. So
perfect. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, Napes, thank you once again. And for those still here with us, if you guys want to support, there's actually 3 ways now to support, which is through YouTube membership, Patreon, or directly through Spotify memberships. I'm not sure it's quite hooked up right now, but there should be. And through any way, you'll be able to get the exclusive episodes that are available. And I think through a couple different avenues. I'm trying to get it figured out through Patreon. There's also the deleted episodes as well for those willing to pay the additional tier. But thank you guys all for listening. And I look forward to a couple more juicy casts coming out this month. So stay tuned. And we'll catch you in the next one. Peace.